Hey, everybody, and welcome to another bonus with Chuck, myself, and Rupert from Reviewing History. So obviously you're on the Funbearable feed now, so you know me as one of the hosts. But this is Brian Ruppert.
Hello, I'm a former guest.
Former guest of the show.
Guest?
Future guest, for sure. He did one of our best Pitch Doctors episodes. It was the Christmas one.
One of the top two of the two that have been done.
We've done a bunch of Pitch Doctors, but that was great. And if you don't subscribe to Reviewing History, we just recently did another episode on the Reviewing History feed of just Rupert and myself talking about movies.
Yeah, we spoke about two horror movies that we saw together.
Yes, that's right. Watchers and In a Violent Nature. And that was kind of just like a one-off, like, oh, let's just talk about this. I think you guys had a skip week.
It really was a perfect storm. You needed to get on to promote the Funbearable 100th live show.
That's right.
We had a week we were going to miss. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, if we do this, it kind of serves both things. It's a perfect thing.
Exactly. So that happened, and we had a great time. The truth is, in Staten Island, we go to the movies together, and then we just like stand in the parking lot and talk for an hour and a half about the movie afterwards, which is what I love. And I feel like
it's like
that's
my
what movies
favorite
are
thing
for.
in the world to do.
Honestly, my whole life going to movies, it was always like, all right, we're gonna go, we're gonna bring our girlfriends.
That wasn't part of the equation ever.
And then we're going to stand in the parking lot as they're rolling their eyes and going like, I'm really cold. And I'm like, yeah, but we're talking about the Hulk, okay?
Do you remember one night we saw a movie and us and this girl we were dating, we're an entity.
Unfortunately, there's a few friends I can't say that with.
But we were in the parking lot for maybe 5 hours after the movie.
I believe it. Oh, which movie was it?
It was when my keys got locked in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that shitty Dracula movie.
This is so funny. So what happened was there was a day where it was $3 tickets for every movie. And I just saw it and I'm like, I'm going to be the big boss, man. And at the time, trailers for the movie Barbarian had come out. And I didn't remember the name. I just remember that it had a one word name. And I remembered, the girl goes up to the house in the trailer, rings the doorbell. And I wanted to see that. So I said, hey, do you want to go see this? I said to Rupert, the person I was dating, and I was like, do you want to go see this movie? And it was another one-word title.
I think it was like
The Invitation.
The Invitation, that was it.
Yeah. So because this girl's going to this fucking doorbell and into this house and like someone's already there, I'm like, oh, The Invitation, it must be what it is. And so you said yes, you didn't say anything about it. And so we go to the movies and we're walking down the aisle, the main hallway to go to the movie theater. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for this. And you were like, yeah, I don't know. It's a movie. And I was like, well, I'm excited. I'm like, the trailer looks really cool. She goes to the house, the doorbell, and you're like, I think you're thinking of a different movie. And I'm like, which one is this? And you're like, this one's about the 3 Brides of Dracula. And I was like, what?
What am I seeing?
And what's funny is that movie was so bad, so forgettable. Rupert's keys fall out of his pocket during the movie theater. We go outside. I think you were like, oh my God. And during the movie, you were like, I thought I heard during the movie someone's keys fall out of their pants. And you thought like, what
a fucking idiot.
So we're outside and we had to basically try to contact them. We did eventually get back in. Yeah. We got the keys. But why are we standing there for so long?
We were just talking about movie stuff and just hanging out in the parking lot for hours.
I think,
which I love doing.
Me too. I think it's an integral part, especially of the movie-going experience. And in my life, like, I've been around so many people who are just like, what the fuck are we doing? And we're just like standing there talking. But me and you always do it. And so we were like, oh, let's get together, talk about the Watchers, talk about In a Violent Nature. And then recently, we saw Deadpool, Wolverine. We were like having these like fevered texts back and forth about it, talking about all this stuff going on with Marvel. And I don't know who said it, but we were like, let's just do another one of those. And I was like, oh, maybe we could put this one in the Funbearable feed, and maybe we could just go back and forth, and once in a while, whenever we feel like it.
Yeah, if we see a movie and we want to talk about it, we could just go back and forth on each other's feeds
and do like a bonus episode. So we're gonna talk about the name in a minute, but I think once in a while we'll just do this back and forth. Episode 1, go check out the Reviewing History feed. I was on to talk about those 2 movies a couple weeks ago. And episode 2 is here, so you kind of have to subscribe to both feeds, Funbearable and Reviewing History.
You never know when it'll pop up.
Yeah, you never know. It's just like a little bonus episode if you're a big film fan. But we did talk about the idea. I'm like, oh, we should come up with a name for this. And so we came up with some names, but we haven't talked about it yet.
No.
We're gonna go through them. How should we go through them, you think?
I guess we should trade off, right?
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to go first, or you want me to?
I'll go first because I have some like really bad ones.
Okay.
And I put some that were like, meh, I'm not gonna say this one, but I'll probably say them all
right.
because why not? You know what I mean?
Shoot all your shots.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. I'm trying to figure out where my the email is that I sent to myself. If you have yours pulled up, I guess
I do have mine.
All right, go for it. Yeah.
My first one is cutting the dead weight. Because
like
it's me
that.
and you. And, we're just the anchors that are weighing us podcast giants down. We're letting it go.
The stars of both shows, right? I like that. That's not bad. That's good. All right, so let's see. Mine.
I'm sure our co-host will love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, I got some dumb ones. All right, I got the... Okay, so this one, we would dress up like Victorian era queen, like queens, like royalty. Take pictures, like had the big frilly collars and the little tiny lipstick, and we'd be silver screen queens.
Okay,
that's not bad because we're talking about movies. You know what I mean?
I don't hate it. We could also we could play on it. We could be different types of queens, so we could come in like the band. Like I'll put a gap in my teeth. Or,
that's pretty good. I like it. I like this a lot.
Yeah,
we're doing it at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, I'm dying of AIDS. All right, this one is awful. Hot movies, buttery opinions.
There's something I like about that. I actually have one that's kind of... One of mine is celluloid and cellulite. Two chubs talk cinema.
Oh, that's so bad. I love it.
I loved two chubs talk, and I wanted another CH.
Yeah.
And I was like, what should I do? And I talked to Brad, and I was like, what do you think? He's like, cinema. And I was like, oh, that's not bad. Celluloid and cellulite.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
The popcorn kernels. And kernels is not, KERNES.
This is blowing my mind. I don't know if I can.
Right?
That's amazing. The popcorn kernels. That's really good.
We have a high rank in the movie military.
That's really good.
We can even wear white suits.
I thought I had a good one, and that one rivals it, man. We're gonna have to.
All right.
So the one that I actually thought was good that I came up with is concession stands, like STANS.
Okay.
Like we're stands because of movies, and popcorn kernels. Wow, that's pretty damn good, man. That's really good. Oh my.
That's good pun work, right? It's so good that I feel like it has to exist somewhere, right?
I think we shouldn't look it up. That might be. I mean, we'll figure it out afterwards. But so my best one is concession stands.
I like that.
I do have two more stupid ones.
All right.
Do you have any more?
I have two more.
All right, go ahead. You go next.
Groovy and oozy on movies. It's so fucking bad.
I put groovy in one of mine too, and I left it. One of mine. Right. This one I was like, I'm gonna put this for now. And maybe I'll come up with a better version of it. I didn't. Casting couch potatoes.
I like that.
We're on the casting couch.
And I picture the logo, and there's just two potatoes with one is a TSD hat, and the other is your glasses.
Yeah, that's great. No, you know what? It'd be a couch. The couch. There's the two potatoes in the middle, and you have that, and I have the glasses, and then there's the four big black potatoes behind us.
That's funny. All right. This one is really dumb.
Yes.
All right. The all-new adventures of Siskel and Ebert.
That one is hilarious. All new. That is...
Two dead guys. And we're just doing movie reviews. Yeah. That was my last one.
That's great. My last one, and this is another one that I'm like, oh, maybe this will get better later, and I'll think of a better one, but it was just Blockbuster Blockheads.
Okay.
Yeah, it's whatever. I think the top two are popcorn kernels and concession stands.
Why don't we, because we're putting this out, why don't we put those two up as a vote?
Yeah.
And comment which one you like better out of those two.
Yeah, do you like popcorn kernels?
Yeah.
Or concession stands? And I think they're great. They're really, really good.
Yeah, and then the next one we'll reveal it.
Yeah. It's funny, so early on in the Chuck and Brad pod, not early on, but years ago, my buddy Ray, who is obviously one of the hosts of Funbearable now, he would come on, and I would like kind of like some dumb mainstream thing, and he would not like it, and I'd always call it Snob versus Cobb, and obviously Snob makes sense. Cobb never made sense, but it's just like you're already in because you know what Snob means, and because you get Snob versus, you know that it's the opposite, so you're like, okay, Cobb, and then it's like, why Cobb? but it does fit with popcorn kernels.
Yeah.
It's closer to that, so that's pretty good.
I mean, you have that at the movies, you know.
The popcorn kernels is not. I gotta say, I'm pretty fucking impressed already. I'm picturing the artwork. Oh,
there's a lot we could do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
All right.
But yeah, so we think we're gonna do this once in a while. I mean, we go to the movies all the time here.
We just saw a movie today.
Yeah, we saw it earlier today, and so like Rupert will hit me up a lot of times and be like, "Hey, you want to go see this movie?" And he'll send me a trailer, and I'll say yes. I won't watch the trailer whatsoever. And I've been introduced to a lot of awesome movies that way because you showed me. I mean, it's not like you saw them beforehand, but Barbarian we saw like that, and Black Phone, which was fucking like those.
Yo, you knew nothing about that going in?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even watch the trailer, and so like we've seen a lot of great stuff.
A lot of bad shit too.
A lot. I would say
not bad.
I would say some middling stuff.
Yeah. The only really bad one was Skinamarink.
I think Skinamarink was the worst one.
It's like the worst movie I've ever seen.
I went to your house to burn it down, and I just couldn't get my lighter going. That's the only reason I
felt
didn't.
so fucking bad. I dragged people to go see that.
No, it's all right. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I know.
But like we saw Trap today.
Yep.
The new M. Night Shyamalan, and I was like, this was fun. I thought it was very fun.
I liked it a lot.
I'm very happy with spending my afternoon that way. The only ones that were really bad, I think Invitation was bad. And Skinamarink was really bad, but honestly, besides that, I don't remember any that were like terrible.
There was nothing awful, really, off the top of my head. There's probably some if I went back and looked, where I was like, that wasn't too great.
I mean, we didn't like. I didn't like Watchers. You didn't love Watchers either.
No, yeah, that was bad.
That was pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, I like going to the movies, and like I think that the luck of the draw is part of it.
Yeah, look, if it was up to me, I'd see every movie that I could.
Me too. I love it. I love seeing movies.
Like I never enjoy a movie as much in my home as I do in the theater.
I love seeing movies in theaters. I love doing that.
Like there's no distractions, you know.
I know. My dream is to eventually have like a small theater in my house.
I fantasize about it, man.
When I lived, when my house did burn down, I lived in this luxury apartment complex for a while, and we had a movie theater in it that you could just rent whenever you want.
Really?
For free. You just booked it. And they had HDMI ports on the walls, so you could plug in PlayStation or
the
Xbox.
super went, this guy keeps watching porn in there.
Yeah,
and we can't stop him.
I had the 3D glasses. Yeah. He's like, it's not even a 3D movie. I don't think he gets it.
And it's like the old red and blue ones, you know?
Going like this. He's like, yeah. But we did, like, on the 4th of July, I remember I booked it. 4th of July is huge in Rhode Island, around where I live in Warren and Bristol. Bristol is the home of the oldest 4th of July celebration in America, and the population multiplies times 10 during that weekend. And but afterwards,
the island actually gets lower than sea level.
Yeah. Everyone has to go to the middle. But at the end of the night, we went back to the Regency Plaza, as the name of it was. And I had rented the thing, and I'm like, we're going to watch Sandlot, and we're going to watch The Purge, and we did. And it was fucking awesome.
Sandlot's a perfect 4th of July movie.
I think 4th of July movies, it's Jaws, Sandlot, Purge. Those are the best ones.
I love The Patriot. I know that's
I've
not
never
really
seen
your
it.
style of movie.
I've never seen it, but I would watch it. But yeah, when we had that movie theater in there, I was like, dude, what the fuck? Let's just go down and watch Halloween 4. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, why not?
All the time. But yeah, we were talking about Deadpool the other day, and so we were like, let's talk about this. Let's have a big talk about this. I fucking loved it. And
so real quick, should we, before we get too deep in the movie, should we do a spoiler-free review?
Yeah.
And then we'll warn people.
I think that's good.
And we'll let the cat out of the bag. We're going to talk about the future Marvel news at some point.
Yes.
So maybe we could put a timestamp up to be like, you know, when
Sure.
we get to that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about we talked about it the other day a lot, and we were like, let's get together and talk about this, which happens a lot, where we're like texting, and then finally we'll get together and we'll actually talk about a movie. But what's your history with the Marvel movies leading up to this? Because it's funny because this is a combination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Avengers movies that have been going on since 2008, and the X-Men universe has been going on until probably I think 2000 is when the first X-Men
2000,
movie
yeah.
And this is kind of they're merging. This is their first joint project. And so, what is your history?
Well,
with those
not
movies?
really, because Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
There's been technically 2 previous little moments, which is Professor Xavier and Doctor Strange, and Beast at the end of the Marvels. But
I forgot he was at the end of the Marvels.
Yeah, and there's actually one more. I thought about it recently. I think there's one more.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what the fuck it could be though. Like a Fox character. Shit. I mean, they did one thing last year that no one really saw, and it was Korg and Deadpool. Did you ever see that?
Oh, no, I didn't see that. No. I was thinking something different.
They put up a video last year.
Wait, is it the thing on YouTube with like hanging out on a couch or
Yes.
something? I did see that.
Yeah, it was really funny. It's Taika Waititi and Ryan
Yes.
Reynolds, obviously. But there actually was one more little crossover that I wish I could remember, but maybe I'll remember it as
it's
it
not
goes.
important right now.
But this is the first time it's like
The main thing.
it's an actual movie about it, and it's part of the storyline.
Yeah.
You know, so what is your history with those movies?
All right, so I'm obviously a huge Marvel nerd. Like
Yeah.
Spider-Man, a random drug issue of Spider-Man. It's called Skating on Thin Ice. It was my first comic book. I've loved Spider-Man and Marvel since. Like as a
Yeah.
kid, I used to make my father take me to comic conventions before it was like a big thing. Like shitty Big Apple Comic Con in New York, like taking me.
I did a panel there.
Really?
I did it. We did it with Jennifer Seehee, who was the voice of the Hot Pockets lady. Hot Pockets.
Her?
We did her, and I said, because we had the Chuck and Brad podcast, I go, will you say pod topics? Because we would open the show, we would do a bunch of little things, and then we get into the main show, and she recorded that for us, and we used to use it before we get into our main topics of
fun.
every episode. Isn't that really funny?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
How much questions do people have for the Hot Pockets lady?
Well,
Not to be disrespectful, but
I shouldn't have said that. That's not why she was there. It just that happened to be one of her credits.
okay. Come meet
I'm saying it like that's what her
Yeah.
booth said.
Come meet the guy who says Affleck for the Affleck talk. Which actually was Gilbert Gottfried, so that would be something.
It was she's the singing voice of Sailor Moon,
Okay.
Jennifer Seehee, and for that con, which was a long time ago, that was actually I think it was the first year I worked with Tell 'em Steve Dave, which the 8-year anniversary just went by of when I first started working with Tell 'em Steve Dave. And we should say that if you don't know, Rupert and I both work with Tell 'em Steve Dave. Like that's how we met. Is we do video work with Tell 'em Steve Dave, and we both host shows on their Patreon and have been on the podcast and stuff. That was when I first did it, and I met Ming there for the first time. And I talked to Ming, and it was really nice because I was like, "Hey man, I shot the Gramercy show for Tell 'em Steve Dave." I'm gonna just make sure I'm recording. Why am I?
Oh, no.
Oh, you know what it is? It's. I know what it is. I'll tell you, and I'll cut this out. There's a thing that hangs off my camera, and it blocks the recording, the red thing. So I was like, wait, what the fuck? So I had just filmed with Tell 'em Steve Dave for the first time, and I met Ming, and I was like, hey man, I'm Chuck. I filmed the Gramercy thing, or maybe I had just handed it in. Maybe it was the following summer. I just handed it in, and he was like, dude, he's like, nice to meet you. He's like, Walt's been talking you up so much. He goes, you know, if Walt likes you, you know, you're in, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so it was really, really nice. But yeah, I've been to Big Apple Con because of that.
Yeah, so you know, and at the time it was a much smaller convention. Like, and I would just go, and my father would just get me whatever was a cheap 70s comic that like a guy was basically giving away. So I have a bunch of 70s Iron Man books of like him as an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm reading as like a kid. It's like
Demon in a
about
Bottle.
I'm reading the Demon in a Bottle arc as like a kid about Tony Stark being a washed up alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like a seminal comic issue to me is there's one where this cop makes a bet with Tony Stark that he can't go a date without drinking as Tony's like a bum and he's like walking around like with the shakes trying not to drink.
That is hilarious.
But so like for me, I always wanted to see this stuff. When the first X-Men movie came out, I saw it opening weekend. I was younger. I was 12, I think. So my mother took me. I've seen probably almost every single Marvel release in theaters, X-Men on.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very few that I have not.
So it's funny, like, I really respect the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies. I really like Spider-Man 1, which is probably 99, maybe the same year.
That's 2002, because it's after 9/11.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
X-Men came out before Spider-Man.
X-Men came out before Spider-Man. X-Men, I personally consider to be one of the most important movies ever made.
Really?
Because it really kick-started a big superhero boom, because it wasn't expected to do the big money that it did. And after that, the studio started like greenlighting Daredevil and, you know, all the other shit that followed. And I think it really raised the expectations for Sony of what Spider-Man would do.
Wow.
And I don't know if you remember the original trailer for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the first one. The first trailer, I'll never forget the first time I saw it, is the Twin Towers with 9/11.
Yeah. And
there was supposed to be an action sequence in the middle of the movie of him stopping this robbery.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened and they cut it.
Yeah, and it was they had the spider, they had a spider web between the Twin Tower with a helicopter caught in it, right? Yeah. I know, that's such a good idea too. It's interesting too. I'm wondering if we should just fill in the audience a little bit. What happened in the 90s was that Marvel was going out of business, right?
Yep.
And so Marvel, the comic book company, sold off the rights to their characters to all these different companies.
Anyone who would buy it.
Yeah, because Marvel wasn't making movies at the time. So it's like, okay, we're going to sell the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and Daredevil to Fox.
And in fact, it's even worse than that. It wasn't like they would sell them individually. It was like they would be like, for example, Fox would say, okay, we're going to take X-Men. And Marvel would be like, okay, but can you also take like these guys?
Really?
And they were almost like throw-ins, the other stuff.
And I know too, which we can talk about this later, it was ambiguous, some of them, who was involved, what characters were involved with these rights issues, which became an issue for
Hulk.
Which became an issue for Age of Ultron and Days of Future Past,
Yes.
which we'll talk about. But yeah, so in the mid '90s, they sold the rights, a bunch of rights to Fox, which included X-Men, Fantastic Four, I guess Daredevil. And Electro. You know what I mean? Hulk went to Universal. I don't really know where everyone else went because they kind of got shifted around, like with the Netflix stuff.
So it was actually Spider-Man.
Yep, Spider-Man, Sony.
Spider-Man was Sony,
Yeah.
which is the only thing they wanted. Universal actually had a lot of the characters, which is why the early Marvel movies, if you go back and you watch everyone before the Avengers, I think even the Avengers, they're all Universal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or no, not Universal. I'm sorry, they're Paramount.
Paramount. Okay.
They're Paramount. Sorry,
Yeah,
I got that wrong.
Yeah. So what happened was eventually when this big MCU boom happened, like starting in 2008 with Iron Man, they only had the rights to certain characters. So certain characters were left out of storylines, whatever. And the X-Men and basically it really was like the Avengers, then under that, I think the most successful series was Spider-Man, and then under that was X-Men. That's how I look at it. And Spider-Man was with Sony, X-Men was with Fox. So this is kind of the time period we're talking about. So you were watching all those things coming out.
I was psychotic about seeing them.
Yeah.
I would, as a kid, you're at your parents' mercy. But once I became like an adult at 18, I would see every comic movie that would release midnight showing, lining up at my theater. Mm-hmm. And I would always make sure I was the first one online so I could get the best seat in the theater. And in fact, I lined up so early for Spider-Man 3, the Staten Island Advance came and interviewed me about Spider-Man 3. And I'm like 19 or 20, and I'm talking like such a fucking idiot about Spider-Man.
Is it on video?
It's on, there's an article. And like, they're like, what do you like about Spider-Man? Like, he's so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I'll be honest, it's weird. I loved comic books growing up. The storyline that really got me into everything was Marvel versus DC, which I believe was 94.
Huge for me. Seminal book.
Yeah, it's weird too because like I don't know how it's looked at in general by like comic book fans now.
It's kind of almost forgotten as like a 90s stunt.
I think so too, even though they did it like I think 3 times, right?
Well, there's been a bunch of different like
Well, I think they did Marvel versus DC and then Amalgam.
Yes.
Which was the combined characters.
They
so
would-
Batman and Wolverine would be one
Dark
character.
Hawk.
Dark Claw.
Or Dark Claw, yeah.
And they did it again a year later.
Spider-Boy.
Yeah, Spider-Boy. They did it again, and then they owned a character that was together, owned by Marvel and
Is that
DC.
Access?
Yes,
Yeah.
Access. And then they did Full Access. But I don't know, much like the Roger Rabbit thing, which was supposed to be owned by Warner Brothers and Disney, I'm not sure of the actual behind the scenes of that. But regardless, Marvel versus DC was what got me into it. I think at the time, because I'm 10 at that time, I was just so into the art and the action figures and the aesthetics that I didn't really read the books. So like I'm playing Maximum Carnage, I'm playing X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, all these video games. I have posters of the X-Men on my wall. I remember this like painting.
They look fucking cool.
It was awesome, and I had my uncle was really into it. My uncle Paul, he was like so into Spider-Man that he painted the cover of The Death of Gwen Stacy like huge in the basement, like huge, like I'm talking
so
like 8
cool.
feet tall. It looked fucking awesome, and I wish I got pictures of it. Maybe I can ask him for it, but. So he had given me some 70s Spider-Man, so I had some stuff with Molten Man.
Okay.
But I didn't really read the comics as much as I liked the artwork at the time.
Uh-huh.
So, and I would get, and I collected all the Marvel baseball cards.
The cards? Oh, I remember those cards.
I love the cards. So when X-Men came out, I didn't care that much.
Did you see it in theaters?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I know. I don't think I saw that.
How old are you in 2000?
16.
Well, you're trying to get pussy. I'm
Yeah.
12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't really that interested. I remember seeing Spider-Man. I don't know if I saw it in theaters, but I remember seeing it around release. But eventually, I mean, I did see the X-Men movies probably like soon after they came out on home video in some way. And I thought that X-Men 1 was fine, but there was some sort of distance between me and that movie with so much with the leather and the chrome, and it just felt like not super personal to me. I don't know why.
It's really interesting to go back and look at that one because it's kind of almost like it's the space monkey for what superhero movies are going to be. And
Right.
like, how are we going to make them look? What's the aesthetic?
Right.
And like, when I go back and watch that one, I usually watch it once a year. It's like almost cheap looking and so small.
Yeah, it felt a little bit weird. It felt a little bit I guess maybe does feel small to me. But I just didn't really I didn't connect to it. It's not like I didn't like it, I just didn't connect to it. Whereas the first Spider-Man, I felt a little bit more connected to it. Everyone loved X2 and Spider-Man 2. And I kind of had the same feelings. I thought Spider-Man 3 was not great, which a lot of people didn't think. It was great. Same thing with X-Men 3, I didn't love. And I just was not into those movies. So by the time 2008 rolls around and it's time for Iron Man, I remember I saw it with my buddy Bilal, who is he's not even into superhero movies anymore.
He doesn't like it at all.
Yeah, to the point now where I think he won't even give them a chance when
That's my
when
friend.
they're good.
That's Ann and Steve, my co-hosts.
It's fucking crazy to me. I'm like, this is like the pop culture conversation of the world right now. I understand sometimes that people get turned off by how big something is, but I look back, I regret not getting into Harry Potter when my whole family was into it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You don't like Potter?
I like it. I like it
Okay.
now. I didn't watch them till later, but I was like, magician baby, I don't care about this. There's a man with a nose. Is that no nose?
Well, how old are you when that's coming out?
I don't know. My brother was like the age. My brother, who's Denny, who's 5 years younger than me,
Okay.
he was like the perfect age for Harry Potter, and he was like waiting.
Well, that's like my age, yeah, because I was the right age.
So he was like waiting at night for the next book to come out. You know what I mean? At like Barnes and Noble. My parents were into it. Or my mom was into it, and I wasn't. And again, I kind of have always had like an anti-snark thing. So I was never really like fuck that to anything.
Yeah.
I was more just like I'm just not whatever, and I eventually got into Harry Potter, and I really regretted not being part of that pop culture conversation, not being part of that whole thing that was taking over the world. It's really fun to be part of that stuff. I think it's important.
I think if you genuinely like it,
Yeah.
I think it's totally cool. Come on board and enjoy it. But I think it's like if you're just like, yeah, this isn't for me, like, you know, like
I think I agree with you, but I also think it's different to not even give it a chance.
yeah, I think that is a different thing.
You know what I mean?
But you know what? I will say, like Iron Man opening night,
Yeah.
I dragged all my friends there, and it wasn't even a midnight showing. They did an 8:00 preview at my movie theater, and we were like the only 4 people in the theaters.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that was fucking great. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe how good that was.
I felt the same thing about Iron Man. So me and my buddy Bilal, who saw it, who isn't into superhero movies anymore, or wasn't even maybe ever, at the end of it, we're like, that was really good. It was really, to me, it really felt like it was clearly like, we're going to do a different thing, and we're going to take this to a different level of seriousness.
Did you stay for the post-credit?
I stayed for the post-credit.
I did not.
I did, and I mean, just the ending alone of him looking at the cards and going and throwing them and going, I am Iron Man, and all the press standing up, I was like, oh, that was an incredible moment. Like, that was really, really so, like, throwing it in the face of the previous Spider-Man, Batman, all that bullshit.
No secret identity. I'm a different thing.
And so I really, really appreciated that.
And I'm coming from the comics when I see that for the first time. So I'm like, oh, he's going to say it's his bodyguard.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because that was the classic setup.
Yes, exactly. So coming into this whole like world of this superhero stuff, at that point in time where Marvel starts, you're like totally in on everything.
I'm all in.
X-Men, Spider-Man,
Fantastic
everything.
Four, everything.
Oh, how would you feel about the Fantastic Four movies?
I like the first one a lot.
Yeah.
The second one was really disappointing to me because I love Silver Surfer and I love Galactus too. And I think it's a big problem with a lot of superhero movies. When they go wrong, I think a big problem tends to be the third act.
Yeah.
And the third act is, guys, if you're ever going to make a superhero movie, don't have your heroes fight a cloud at the end. So, like, Galactus is a cloud in that.
Yeah.
The Green Lantern movie, it's a cloud.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
See, so I'll say this. Even the original Michael Keaton Batman, were you super into that when you were young?
I loved it as a real little kid.
I never was into it. I loved Batman Returns. I mean, I have an appreciation for Batman now, but I loved Returns. And I liked Batman Forever because I was young and stupid, and I liked Jim Carrey. But I didn't watch the Fantastic Four movies, I don't think. I feel like I might have seen some of the Punisher stuff. I saw the Eric Bana Hulk and thought it was bizarre.
That again, he's fighting a cloud at the end.
He's fighting the three-headed dog,
Poodles
too.
and a cloud, yeah.
Why is it a poodle?
I
So I'm not really super into the whole superhero thing cinematically before Iron Man. And probably, and like I said, I did like Batman Returns a lot. And like I generally, I didn't, like I said, I didn't shit on stuff. So I wasn't like, fuck this. But it wasn't what I looked for.
Did you watch like the Christopher Reeve Supermans?
No, never watched them ever to this day.
Really?
Never have watched them. I would be happy to watch them, but I never have watched them.
The first two are legitimately fantastic. I don't think I've actually ever seen 3 or 4.
Did you see the Kevin Spacey one, Superman Returns?
Yeah, I actually like that movie.
I remember people liking it. But anyway, So what happened was 2008, Marvel starts their whole thing. The Avengers becomes huge by 2012. It's like monstrous. All the other studios like Sony and Fox
DC, Warner
and
Brothers.
DC with Warner Brothers, they're all kind of fighting to catch up, and they're all kind of looking at it like, well, they're just taking heroes and putting them together. Let's just do that. And there's just like miss. I think X-Men First Class is probably my favorite X-Men movie.
It's a really good movie.
Fassbender and McAvoy, like I was really into that. Days of Future Past, I thought was good too, although it ends up causing a ton of problems in terms of continuity.
Oh, yeah.
It's like insane. And then like I was excited. I remember being excited for X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it's fine, but it's not a very good movie.
I remember I dragged Anthony to see that with me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, come on, it's like kind of a war movie. And like, because I think in the trailer they show him like being in different wars. So I was like, it's a war movie.
The opening sequence.
So I dragged him to see it, and at the end he was like, that was a really shitty movie, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. It's not good.
I know, yeah. I kind of felt the same. And I watched the Wolverine and I watched Logan, which I love Logan. But so during this whole time, Fox has the X-Men, Sony has Spider-Man, Marvel teams up with Disney and starting this Marvel universe that becomes monstrous. Everyone else is faltering. Like the X-Men movies kind of get progressively bad from Days of Future Past.
Did you see Dark Phoenix?
No, I never saw them.
Dude, it is so bad.
And New Mutants too, right?
New Mutants, I feel like New Mutants kind of got a bad rap because it got buried with COVID.
Yeah.
It was actually the first movie I saw when theaters were kind of reopening. So there was one theater that was opening in Pennsylvania playing New Mutants. And I was like, there's no way I'm not seeing the new Marvel movie in theaters. And I drove an hour and a half to go see it in Pennsylvania alone in the theater.
You're such a weirdo.
Yeah.
You're a psychopath. But so the X-Men movies got progressively worse. I actually loved Amazing Spider-Man 2, but it was not super well received. It didn't make as much money as they wanted, so they stopped that series with Amazing Spider-Man 2. And so the other studios were kind of faltering that owned the Marvel characters. So the characters started going back into the Marvel, they started getting the rights back. Obviously they made
Disney at this point too, we got to mention, is having string after string of success.
Oh yeah.
Like there's multiple years where the top 10 at the box office, 8 or 9 of the movies are Disney movies.
Exactly, yes. And I guess we should mention this. Netflix is making some Marvel shows.
Yes.
And Daredevil is really well received. I think Punisher was well received.
Yeah.
And then Jessica Jones.
The first season was really good.
Yeah, and then not Iron Fist, Luke Cage.
And Iron Fist.
And Iron Fist. And Iron Fist, I think, was the one that did the worst out of all of them. And maybe the Defenders season.
Oh, when they came together, yeah.
Which I haven't watched that stuff either.
Okay.
I've watched a little bit of Daredevil, and that's it. Oh, and in that time, too, Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Elektra are out. You know what I mean?
Fox movies.
The Fox movies. So all those movies are like hidden here and there, hit or miss, blah, 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 after the initial Spider-Man and X-Men, early 2000s. Then Disney comes along. They kind of raise the bar like crazy. All the other people are fighting to catch up, while Marvel, for the fans, anyway, for me anyway, and probably you, I'm guessing, are like give them back to Marvel. Get these characters back to the Avengers. Put them in this world. And so we're flipping out. And it's funny because now 2008 is fucking 16 years ago. Like right now, I can't even believe I'm admitting this. In an hour and 40 minutes, I will turn 40.
And what better way to ring it in than talking about Marvel movies?
Hour and 40 minutes. I saw Iron Man when I was 24. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That we're like, this new Marvel, that's part of this series. That's fucked up. But anyway, so over the past several years, these characters have returned. They had I think it was like the first one was maybe Daredevil or something in terms of the actual rights.
Oh, getting the rights back.
Just the stuff that we knew, not necessarily them putting him on the screen yet, but we're like, man, Punisher's back with Marvel. Daredevil's back with Marvel. It's blank, 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 blank.
Well, and we have to mention there was a clause in some of these cases where basically if Fox, for example, was not producing an active Daredevil movie within a certain time frame, they had to hand it back. So they had to hand back Daredevil and Punisher and a bunch of these characters, and they were kind of hell bent on keeping Fantastic Four, which is why they put out that Josh Trank one, I think in
2015.
2015, yeah, that's what I thought.
And the Fantastic Four have already been victim of a worse situation like that, where they made a Roger Corman Fantastic Four that they never even planned on releasing, but they technically made it, so it helped them retain the rights. So, oh yeah, Fantastic Four. So it's weird. It's like, honestly, on every side of it, from Fox with the Fantastic Four and X-Men, and with Spider-Man, it's like the movies just started going downhill. And you know, and I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with everything, but like in terms of critical response and box office, while Marvel, Disney, the Avengers are going up.
Yes.
So we're as nerdy, you know, fanboys, we're seeing like, okay, this person's back. Ghost Rider was one of them too.
Yeah.
That Jesus Christ.
Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider.
Holy shit. So anyway,
Did you see those?
I saw the first one and like I don't remember it at all. Passable?
First one is actually not like good at all. Like even on no level is it enjoyable.
Yeah.
The second one though, is like Crank, but a superhero movie because it's from the Crank directors.
Yeah.
So they like steer into like the goofiness.
Yes.
Like he's pissing fire on people. It's fun.
I bet that's fun. I mean, again, same thing with the two Punisher movies. I'd watch those again. But going, you know, so these are our two like journeys basically.
Yeah.
And so when Iron Man comes out, you must be totally in.
To me, it's like I see every comic book movie midnight showing. Like I think the year before, the second Fantastic Four movie had come out.
Wow, it's crazy.
So I think that was 2007.
Yeah.
I for sure know Spider-Man 3 was. So that was just what I did. If a comic book movie was coming out, I would go.
Yeah.
And my local comic shop at the time, they would do special promotions where it was like, if a movie was coming out at midnight, they would have a release party where they would pick from a hat and a random percentage of everything would be off in the store. So it would be 50%, whatever. And like I would buy statues, everything.
Yeah.
I would go nuts. So to me, it was just something I did. And I'm like, hey guys, come on, we'll go see the new movie. It's only 8 o'clock this time.
Yeah.
And we go see it. And it blows everybody away. And it's like, I don't know that there's a post-credit. I find out the next day online. And Saturday, I'm like, we got to go back and see it because I got to see that post-credit. And I went and saw it again the same weekend.
You want something that you're going to be so disappointed in? When we saw Iron Man at the end, and he's like, we want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, I didn't know what the Avengers were.
You didn't know what the Avengers were? Wow.
This is 16 years ago, yeah.
So what were you thinking?
I was like, what is that? And everyone's like, oh, it's like them. It's like Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk.
It's like their Justice League.
It's like them teaming up. I'm like, oh, okay. But I didn't really, I'm like, you know, obviously the next few movies, you know, people have their likes and dislikes in terms of like the Thor solo movie, Captain America, all that stuff. But then Avengers comes out, and Avengers is pretty universally beloved and does insane box office.
I think right away it had the biggest opening of all time.
I think so too.
Which I think was $206 million,
yeah.
Which shows how nerdy I was and how much I cared about this shit.
Dude, so we've been watching these movies for the past several years, and like, I mean, the truth is, leading up to Endgame, I think it was handled as well as anyone could handle a massive chain of movies like this. It's like it's so unprecedented.
It is a perfect thing they pulled off. It's a miracle.
Right.
Well, we will never. Anybody, they could stop making movies for 20 years, come back and try to do it again.
Yeah.
It will not work like that again. It's a magical moment that like
it
we
really
got
is.
to witness.
And it's like 2 or 3 times a year you're going to the movies to see a thing you love.
I saw Endgame 10 times in theaters.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Oh my god.
So I have the AMC pass, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously I saw it. I think I saw it 2 or 3 times opening weekend.
Holy fuck.
And then I would see it at least once a week after, just because I don't pay to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And
so you're like, I'll just go watch a movie.
Yeah, I was like, whatever, I'll go fucking watch Endgame again. And part of my thing was, like, I have it on Blu-ray, I have it on DVD, I could watch it streaming on Disney Plus, but the limited window I'm gonna get to witness this fucking miracle on the big screen is just not gonna happen again.
I think it's magical. I think that I went to go see Endgame opening. So here's what's funny. So the week that Endgame was coming out, we do these comedy shows called Bradley Drawn, right?
Okay.
And we did a couple dates of Bradley Drawn that week for the Avengers with the original Avengers story. Because we did like an Avengers show.
You did the recap.
Yeah. So basically, what the Bradley Drawn show is, Brad redraws. My buddy Brad draws every scene from a movie, and it's fucking terrible. He's a terrible artist, and he, and I look at the pictures and I write a new narration for the movie. Have you seen our Avengers one?
Oh yeah, not the Avengers one. I saw Indiana Jones, I think.
Yeah, dude, Avengers. It's so fucking, it's fucking hilarious. But anyway. We did a date that week at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, and we were somewhere else. We were in like either Connecticut doing it. We used
Manhattan?
I don't think
I thought you told me you did this one in Manhattan.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was at the People's Improv Theater, the Pit. Maybe that's where it was. And whatever day we did it, I think it was the day it came out, maybe Thursday night or something.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get to see it until maybe Friday night or something. But it was still like very much opening 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it was packed theater.
Yep.
In Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Everyone there was fucking in. The best theater experiences I ever had are the Jackass movies, which those can be like amazing, especially if you're fucking.
Well, you get a lot of cringing.
And people are freaking out. I saw a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in theaters with a Jay and Silent Bob crowd for the first time opening weekend.
Really?
In Florida.
That's how you saw it?
And it was fucking.
What were you doing
incredible.
in Florida?
I was with my buddy Bowman. My buddy Brian Bowman is a guy I was friends with a long time ago. And this is 1999?
Yeah.
Something like that?
2001, I think, actually. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't remember, but it was amazing. But the Endgame was up there too. Everyone did it. When Iron Man dies, crying. You just hear people crying, hear people sniffing. It was amazing. I still will just watch Endgame reaction videos on YouTube of
Dude,
people, the
it
Cap
was such
stuff.
a moment. Like when Cap finally gets the fucking hammer, I was like choking up and like, because it was like, I've been waiting for this so long, and it's such a good, it's 10 years of my life.
Not only that,
at that point.
I think that people, unless you're really into it to the level that we are, I don't know if you can really be on the outside and be like, no. We watched Chris Evans completely embody this character, go through Captain America, the first Avenger, go through Winter Soldier, go through Civil War, go through the Avengers, Age of Ultron, all the shit that he did in terms of seeing this excellent actor with a lot of excellent writing and this perfect execution and direction of this character over the past 11 years at that point in
Paying
time.
off things from 6-7 years ago that they laid breadcrumbs about.
It was incredible. It was incredible. The as weird as this sounds, I think to people on the outside, the artistry of a lot of this stuff is at a level that is insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think of movies like Jurassic Park, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like all those big movies like that, and I think about the fact that it's almost like they took that stuff and they put it into a connected universe in terms of the execution and what it was.
It'd be like if Indy was like, they're building a park.
Exactly.
With what?
Yeah, but you're not going to believe what... You know that he was supposed to be Alan Grant?
Was he?
Harrison Ford was supposed to be Alan Grant, and he's like, I don't know, another Steven Spielberg. That's why he didn't do it.
Do I want to make another $100 million?
Imagine if he's fucking Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and the main character in Jurassic Park. That's fucking bananas. But anyway,
And he's in the MCU now.
I know.
Yeah.
So all in, excited, and there were fucking crazy rumors for Endgame too, where it's like they have the X-Men, so this person's gonna show up and all this stuff like that. Whatever. But we knew it was coming. We knew that this merger was happening, and Marvel's getting everybody back. Disney and Marvel are taking over the film world for better or for worse. in terms of like allowing for other movies to be made, allowing space for other movies to be made, and eventually after Endgame, kind of a crash in terms of quality overall.
Well, and they had announced their slate for years, and they had all these big plans.
Yeah.
And they were gonna do a Kang movie and all this shit.
Yeah.
And
Armor Wars.
Yeah, and I think COVID slowed their momentum too, and I think it changed plans. But overall, and even they self-acknowledge it in Deadpool Wolverine, they're in a lull,
Yeah, and I think that, there's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that happened. If you want my honest opinion, I walked out of Endgame with the feeling of like, they have been balancing these plates for the past however many years. At the end of that movie, you lose Iron Man and Captain America, your two anchors, and it was so well executed. It was so clearly a finale. I'm like, I know they're continuing. I don't know how anyone could keep this going. And in my personal opinion, they wanted to diversify the audience so much that they alienated the audience that they built.
I think that's a part of it. I also think it's like, if you look at it like chess and you have your pieces, they just like took off two of their biggest pieces.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like I understand if you have to get rid of Cap or Iron Man, you have to get rid of one of them for like narrative purposes.
Yeah.
But like this is a universe where anything could happen. So why remove two huge pieces and take that away from your audience when we have an attachment to those characters?
I still think that they could have navigated that okay, because you'd be left with Guardians of the Galaxy. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was after that. It was fucking amazing. Yeah. You'd be left with Tom Holland, and the follow-up to that with Tom Holland, No Way Home, is fucking incredible.
I love No Way Home.
It's incredible. I know that they made Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They could have made a good version of Captain America's stories continue with Winter Soldier, General Thaddeus Ross, Falcon. They could have done that.
So I'm personally a proponent of just recasting and keeping the role alive. That's always been my stance. It always will be. So
to me, my hope was, and I wish they did this, and it's not going to happen, but imagine if they finished that Endgame, right? The next year they're announcing it's going to be Captain America 4, and it's going to be kind of a loose version of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is like Bucky and Falcon. And they don't know who's going to be the next Captain America, and Chris Evans is directing it because he was a director and he's becoming more of a director, and he was in all the marketing about how he knows the character and he wants it. Don't you feel like that would have been a better move for that part of the universe?
Anything would have been a better move than what they did.
But imagine if he was involved in the directing side. Wouldn't that have been? I mean, I don't know what it would be, but it would be so much more convincing for fans
I
feel
think it
like
would be an easier pill to swallow.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like we love Steve Rogers.
I understand.
And you removed him and Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Probably the two most loved characters in the universe.
I say yes, but at the same time, it's like Tom Holland as Spider-Man was so good.
I'm talking more like from the beginnings of the MCU.
I get it. They're the people that laid the groundwork. But yeah, so I kind of felt like I'm not sure how they're gonna fucking carry this. And of course, there's like ups and downs. And there's a lot of stuff that I think you can point to and be like, man, a lot of this was really good, but it kind of faltered in this way. Or, man, this weird thing happened that caused this to be derailed. Like even Falcon and the Winter Soldier was largely about a vaccine originally.
Yeah.
And then they had to cut everything. And as much as I'm like I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like a middling action show that like could have been like on like TNT.
It's just like...
But I wonder how much that affected it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it definitely hurt the story. And look, there's other problems I think that they ran into really hard with the phases 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Where like they made decisions where it kind of limited them in certain ways because let's be real, it's in the 2020s, if you have a female antagonist, you can't have Cap go and just beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And it just puts your heroes in a weird spot almost. And I think you kind of are cutting off narrative victories.
Sure. I think that there's a lot of that stuff too. I think I completely agree with that. So anyway, they're doing these up and downs, and we know the characters are coming back. So there's all these little teases of like, we're going to bring the multiverse back, or we're going to bring the characters in via the multiverse. I think Spider-Man No Way Home was really the one that did it. And like, I don't think Marvel didn't even really try to do it before that. Like the closest thing was fucking Quicksilver in WandaVision, who was just a different guy who
They-
happened to be played by the same.
They were teasing the audience with that.
in a way that was negative, in a way
Yeah,
that hurt it.
That
and the
pissed
way,
everybody off.
all it did was hurt it. Although I still hope that gets retconned because at the end they find that headshot of his. I'm not going to get
Yeah.
into that, but Spider-Man No Way Home as the first real big, we're going to acknowledge all the movies that the other studios made and make them part of this. I think it was like an A++++++. I don't think it could have been done better.
Well, look, I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. You put him in anything, and you don't like fuck his character up. I'm on board, and like I saw the movie 4 times.
Dude, Tom Holland is incredible, and Andrew Garfield's incredible. And
Yeah.
fucking Marissa Tomei is incredible, and Norman Osborn. I mean, Willem Dafoe. So to me, No Way Home as the real multiverse movie for Marvel, unbeatable in terms of like they couldn't have done better. Then they do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I think so Spider-Man was supposed to be first.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange was supposed to be first, which I think
Okay.
would have been way better for the audience because you'd get one scene with all these weird cameo whatevers. Instead, it's called Multiverse of Madness,
Which
so we're
I
like,
think-
that's fucking crazy.
I think the expectations to it were way too big, and they were what hurt it, because I just saw Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield,
that's what I mean,
and this is 3 or 4 months later. I'm expecting,
dude. I remember,
and you're giving Professor X in the trailer.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
what are you hiding from us?
yeah, exactly. So Multiverse of Madness, I think, really suffered from that.
And I like that movie.
There's
I'll be
some
honest.
stuff I really like in it. I really love the dream walking thing. I love that the end, especially because it's Sam Raimi, the corpse of Doctor Strange. All that stuff is very cool. But it felt like a really big letdown, which I think is partly because the schedule flip and partly because of the way they marketed it. And they shouldn't have named it that. Why name it that after No Way Home?
Well, I think what they were playing at, because do you know the original plan for the movie before it was a multiverse movie? Originally, it was supposed to be a straight horror movie. And Scott Derrickson, who did the first one, was supposed to direct. He did Black Phone and a bunch of other horror things.
Okay.
And there's fucking, what's his name? The racist guy who's a writer who wrote a bunch of books. His cat's name is the N-word. I'm serious. The Cthulhu guy.
Yeah, it's not H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft, thank you.
Okay.
So I think he has a book.
He's in Providence. His grave is in Providence.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's huge in Providence. There's Cthulhu stuff all over the place.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. I didn't know about his cat.
Yeah. ask Google or Alexa. Yeah, what was H.P. Lovecraft's cat's name?
Hey Siri. And you ask
Yeah.
everyone's phone
What?
does it. That's hilarious.
But yeah, they're at work.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I think he has a book in the Mountains of Madness,
Yeah.
and I think Multiverse of Madness is supposed to play into that somehow.
See the fact that they said Multiverse of Madness, like I remember the type of spoilers I was reading was like they're gonna bring an entire alternate Avengers, and it's gonna be Tom Cruise as Robert Downey Jr., Triple H, the wrestler, as Thor. This person is this person is this, and I'm just like all getting beefed up.
I was hearing it's Sam Raimi, so you know who that means.
Oh,
Tobey Maguire, like
Dude, I'm jacking off in the parking lot 3 times before I go in.
we
And it
saw
was-
that one together too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so they had ups and downs, whatever. I think that the big ups are Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians 3 was fucking awesome. We
Yep.
saw that, and I'd have to actually think about it. But
As
anyway,
far as movies, I think those are the ones that are
standouts.
that are the standouts that like are generally good, because I saw a meme recently where it was like they posted like No Way Home. It's like the MCU is back. Then they post like the Eternals. The MCU is dead, and it keeps alternating almost.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And I get it's tough. I get it, but so Deadpool and Wolverine is going to come out. We know that Deadpool is coming out. And I want to build this up because this is how I felt. I knew that Deadpool was coming in. They had confirmed that Deadpool 3 was going to happen a long time ago. Like, this is before they announced Jackman. Kevin Feige said, we're taking in the X-Men, and we're just going to put it out there. Deadpool will
Is
remain
first.
rated R. He said he was going to
Yep.
be rated R, too. So we're like, wow, okay. Which makes sense. I mean, Deadpool...
That's the character.
When Deadpool came out, I believe that the opening box office for Deadpool 1 beat the opening box office for every previous X-Men movie.
I don't know. It may have, but
I think it did.
I know for sure it was like the highest grossing R-rated movie,
Yeah.
like of all time.
Yeah,
when
I
it
think
opened.
I think it did, and it's funny.
And it had Oscar buzz, if you recall.
Dude, and then it inspired them to make Logan rated R.
Yes.
So that was cool. And then like last year, it was probably about a year ago. Ryan Reynolds drops this video of him being like, we're trying to work on Deadpool 3. And, he's like, I didn't really know what to do. We're kind of having trouble with the story. And then he's sitting on his couch and he goes, hey, Hugh. He goes, you want to come back and be in Deadpool 3? And it's Hugh Jackman in the background walking up the stairs. And he goes, yeah, sure, Ryan. And when that happened,
I remember you texted me. You were like, you gotta see what I just sent you. You texted and called me. You gotta look at this.
I text you. I go on Facebook and message you on Instagram. I'm calling your wife at work.
Smoke signals.
It's happening. Yeah. That's so funny. It's funny because I don't know how you feel about this. I've never talked to you about this. I feel so lucky that I have the personality type to be so happy about this stuff. I feel lucky to feel this way.
It's better than to not feel anything.
I think it's just like, imagine something like this can bring you this much joy it could change your day.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of the time it's sports.
Yes.
But because of my teams, I don't get that feeling.
Oh, believe me, I'm texting Brad right now about that Bears game. Yeah. But so I was all excited, and I was like, I can't believe this. I was really shocked. I was really, really surprised. For a while you don't hear anything, obviously. Then eventually the Super Bowl trailer happens, which is, 6 months ago now. And they dropped that first.
That was the first trailer, too. They kept it quiet for a long time.
And that was a teaser, and the full trailer was online. And I was like, holy fuck. I watched the trailer, fell in love, and I was just excited for the buddy comedy aspect of it. And then, leading up to it, they start having all these rumors of cameos and crossovers, and we're like, well, what is this going to mean? And I was happy to read theories. I didn't want to read leaks. I didn't want to read stuff that was like, this will definitely happen, because I didn't want to get my hopes up and then get dashed. I didn't know, but I was happy to read theories. And I will say, we have a mutual friend, I'm not going to name him here, who had a little insight behind the scenes with people that worked on the movie.
Okay.
And so he gave me some of the information
beforehand.
I'm talking December is when he gave me the information.
Okay.
And he told me some stuff that was for sure true. That for sure, like to the point where he told me they will introduce. Oh, I guess we gotta do spoilers. I'll tell you when we get to that. So
introduce this character, this character, this character.
He was saying stuff, and I was like, whoa. And so I was reading leaks. I was all excited. My hype, I don't know if my hype, it feels like my hype for Endgame was probably the highest ever. Then No Way Home pretty much matched it. And then this matched that. And after Endgame, I was like, I'm never going to feel that excited again for a movie. After No Way Home, I was like, I'm never going to feel that. And then this happened, and I was like, this has to be the last time. And my hype level going into the movie this past weekend was fucking... I bought tickets so long ago. Like right when I went on sale.
You had them that long ago?
I had them to go in Rhode Island with my friends. To go in New England, I guess I'll say. And then I realized that I had told my girlfriend who lives in Colorado, Natalie, I was supposed to be in Colorado that day. So I had to cancel that. And
Sorry, babe.
Well, one of the reasons I really liked Natalie right away was because we met in the Impractical Jokers cruise. I'm watching the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, and we're talking on the phone, and I see the Deadpool teaser. I go into another room and I watch the trailer on my phone. I text her. I'm like, did you see the Deadpool thing? And she goes, yeah, I just walked in another room on my phone and watched the trailer.
That's
and
cool.
I was like, oh boy. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty good. I didn't even prompt her. You know what I mean? So, and she was already sad that I wasn't going to be able to see it with her opening weekend.
Okay.
So I was like, I got to be in Colorado, whatever. So I got rid of I refunded my tickets in New England. I immediately bought tickets in Colorado. I didn't tell you what happened in Colorado.
No.
So
you were in Aurora.
Well,
it's such a dark joke.
Well, so bring me, where are you in terms of this hype train when it comes to the night it's opening?
Okay, it's pretty funny for me. So I was actually bummed. I was like, I'm not going to be able to see it at opening weekend. I'm in Disney with my family. Like we're driving back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not going to be able to make it. Like this is not going to happen. So we get to my in-laws, and they live right by the Staten Island Mall, and we're dropping off my brother-in-law and his girlfriend.
Yep.
And we park, and, we get some of the bags in and stuff, and my wife is like, it's late, let's just sleep. And I go, all right, fine. And I'm like, I'm right by the mall. And I hop on AMC. I was like, there's showings until 1 a.m. I was like, I know what I'm doing. And right away, I was like, hey, you don't mind if I happen to just go out tonight and see a movie, right? And she's like, no. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go see Deadpool. She goes, I want to see that. I go, I'll see it with you next week. I was like, I have to see it tonight or it's going to be ruined for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and it's like, I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm addicted to the internet. I'm a creature of it. If I don't see it that night, I know it's going to be ruined for me.
I saw stuff on YouTube this weekend that was like
I saw the opening title sequence up on YouTube.
it was the cameo. It was like there's a big moment in the movie that reveals a few cameos, and it was that scene with them on the actual thumbnail.
The director shared it too.
Oh, they did something at Comic-Con that I thought was insane, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But, so what happened to me was, I go to Colorado a lot to see my girlfriend, and I was like, I don't want the plane to be, I don't want anything to happen, whatever. I get there, I'm like, okay, everything's on time. She picks me up. We go to the movie theater, and like I can just feel, I'm so excited that I'm like, something's going wrong. Something's going wrong. My spider sense is tingling. Yeah. I go in there, I go, hi, we have a Deadpool for like, we're probably there maybe 10 minutes early,
like,
whatever.
Oh, you bought a reissue of the first Deadpool movie?
No, they go, we're having problems in that theater. The projectors are down, so we're canceling all the screenings in that theater tonight, and all the other ones are sold out.
I would have fucking went.
Fucking face.
I would have went ballistic. I would have said no.
He goes, we have one. He goes, you can go to this one, and he showed me the screen, and the only seats were in the front row.
You have to do it.
You're gonna do that to a popcorn kernel?
Yeah. I'm a high-ranking member of the military. God damn it.
So I was like, you motherfucker, I'm grabbing him, slapping him. And he's like, well, there's another AMC like 10 minutes away. And I was like, okay, we looked it up. Fine, good seats, everything.
All right.
He's like, we'll refund you and we'll give you free tickets. They were really, really nice. They were really nice about it.
I'm sure if you're working in the movie theater too, and that happens, the biggest movie of the year, you have to just fucking...
That's what I was thinking about. And I was like, in my head...
I'm going to kill myself.
Well, why don't I just kill myself? I use that all the time now, by the way.
Oh, it's great.
Jimmy was going to come down for my birthday this weekend.
And you said, I'm going to kill myself if you come down.
He goes, I'm not going to be able to make it. And I go, well, why don't I just... Anyway, so we went to the other theater. Another funny thing happened. We get in the theater. We're like, okay, the screening is happening. I look next to me. I didn't know. I saw the popcorn bucket of Wolverine's face. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. But the Deadpool one is fucking insane.
It looks really cool.
It's amazing. And I'm like,
I saw someone complain that you posted the popcorn bucket, and I was like, it's fucking merch from the.
And it's also it's not even a character. And it's funny because the popcorn bucket is Deadpool, which really, it's funny. Yes, it represents Deadpool, Wolverine, the movie. It also represents the comic book storyline Marvel Zombies, which I really like, and Deadpool Core, which came from that. And so for me, it's a little bit more. It's not really in the movie at all, almost.
It's there, but
in the background.
It's such not a big thing. And in my opinion, if they're selling merch of it at the popcorn stand,
it's not.
You can't get mad at someone for posting that.
So I saw that and I'm like, I gotta get that. So I go to the front, right? I get in line. There's two tellers. There's two concession people. I get in the middle because I'm like, I don't want some. No one. We're not doing this 2-line bullshit. I'm next. By the way, I've called out my friend in front of people for doing that. I go, is that guy riding the line? We call it riding the line when you won't pick one.
I like that,
which is really funny. But so the person to my left gets these next two people and doesn't call on me, and I'm like, whatever, what the fuck ever. They both get Deadpool popcorn buckets. Then I'm like, I was actually next after they go, and she's like, okay, and I go over, and I'm like, can I have one of the popcorn buckets? And she goes in the back, and she goes. Yeah. I just want to make sure. I just heard a weird sound. Oh, it was the spray thing.
Okay.
She goes, oh, we're actually out of them. And I was like, it was right when she grabbed the other two people in line. And I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal because I didn't even know about it before, 10 minutes before. But then someone there was like, oh, we have 4 more. And then she gave me one. And I was
like, that they were holding for some of the employees?
Something like I was like, holy fuck. So I got to watch the movie. Let's do a spoiler-free review.
Okay.
What do you think, spoiler-free?
All right. Spoiler-free review. It was awesome to see. I don't think this is a spoiler. It was awesome to see Hugh Jackman in the costume. Yeah. And it's like, it looks so good.
It looks so good that it makes you say, how could they have not done this?
Exactly. Like, it was made for the big screen to look like that. It is fantastic looking. I'm praying to God we see more of that because I love the way it looks. All the acting was great. The jokes, they're hit or miss, but they mostly hit, I think. There's some really fun action moments. I love the relationship between the two characters. It's great, like, buddy stuff.
Yeah.
I genuinely like a lot of the movie, probably most of it. I'm pretty high on it. The only spot where I was kind of let down was the third act.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have the impact for me that I wish it did.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's good, and the theming of the movie is good too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I could say as far as spoilers.
Yes.
It's spoiler-free, yeah.
I would say, from my point of view, Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together in this way is insane. I honestly think it could have not been an action movie and just been a comedy of like them as like guys, and their rapport would be just as good.
You can tell they genuinely like each other and they're having fun.
And that they know the roles that they're playing and they're happy to fucking press each other's buttons and be like that.
How do you not just make 1 million of these? Like,
I know.
like
I know.
Like if the two of them like each other so much, and this was such a hit, it's like, dude, make this like a new Rush Hour. Fuck it.
I know.
Like, give me Deadpool Wolverine 2.
I agree. And it's just so easy to throw people in. It's so easy to throw in Ruffalo as Hulk. Like, come on, are you kidding? So anyway, I loved it. I thought the comedy was great. I thought the action was excellent. I want to say this up front because there's no need to put this in the spoiler territory. The use of Like a Prayer with Madonna. By the way, they brought in Madonna with Ryan Reynolds to come up with all the orchestral version of that and figure out that.
Really? I didn't know she brought it in.
Madonna, they were going to do it, and they brought her in, and she agreed to come in, and she helped figure all that out. It was so well done.
It's fantastic.
As a score piece for them. And Deadpool has always kind of lived in this world where he brought in, what's it called, non-diegetic music, or is it diegetic?
Didactic, right?
Didactic?
I think
it's like it's music that the characters in the movie can hear. He's so good. He's always brought in, Angel of the Morning was a big one. They always have done these big things for Deadpool movies.
Wham!
Yes, exactly. This as fun and silly at some points, and also insanely heartfelt and important and emotional at different points. It's insane how it works.
It's also thematically tied to the movie because so much of the movie is talking about Marvel Jesus and that he's Jesus.
Yes.
And you're tying in Like a Prayer to it. It works perfectly.
It was I couldn't believe, and people shit on the idea of like the slowed down pop songs, and I think this was a lot more thoughtful than that. I think most people know that. I
don't like it in trailers.
It depends. Like they did one for 10 Cloverfield Lane for our house, and it was fucking awesome, and it was really really well done. But I know what you mean. It is overused.
It's overused in trailers. In a movie, I don't mind it as much.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, they did. There's a movie I really like called Malignant. Did you ever see that?
Is that the one where the thing is on the back of it? Yeah.
So the whole score is based around the Pixies' "Where's My Mind," the entire thing, and it works really well. But I thought it was so well done. Like when they actually went into the ending and had that part, I was like, this is insane. Like the way that they used that was so good. I think the action scenes were well directed. I think the world was fun. I mean, it's no secret in the trailer they show you that they're in the void at the end of the Marvel universe, and they played with that in such a fun way. I really think that this movie was like such a fun ride, and I'm not going to spoil it, but like the opening scene set the tone in a way that I didn't expect, that I loved.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I watching it the whole time, I was like on such a blockbuster movie high. It was fucking outrageous.
I had driven for like 12 or 13 hours. I'm seeing this like 1 a.m. and I still loved it. Popcorn kernels for the popcorn kernels. All right. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, get 'em.
I have some damn good popcorn.
It's nice and hot.
Yeah.
Wow. People love chewing on
wet. I know. Especially popcorn. It's really crunchy.
But I love
dripping butter on our faces.
But anyway, you drove 13 hours.
So I drove 13 hours, and I'm wide awake for the movie. I never dozed off and popped back up.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we saw Mad Max, and you saw me fucking pass out.
I know, yeah, Furiosa, that's right. But yeah, so I honestly I felt like it's one of those things where like it's hard to say like a movie is like 10 out of 10, but I do walk away from a movie like this where I have my own little criticisms, thinking, could we really expect more from this project. Do you know what I mean by that? You know what I mean? Where it's just like so much of this was so well done and so much of it went well and they executed in this way. Even if we do have these little nitpicks, is it really even realistic to think that any movie could overcome every single one of those?
I will say, like, honestly, it's hard to do this movie any better than they did it.
I think so too.
There's a couple of things that maybe I would rejigger. It's probably as good a version as you can do of this movie. My personal tastes are like, I like obviously if Tobey Maguire showed up, even for a second, I would have jizzed my pants and like I would have called this the greatest thing that ever happened in cinema because I'm an easy mark for Tobey as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'll say that unabashedly. Like I love Spider-Man 3. I don't care what anyone says. But my personal thing is the final third act confrontation. I don't want to, without going into spoilers, I think the big action moment is too separated from the actual climax leading to victory or defeat of the main characters.
I agree with that.
And that, to me, is what really stops it from being like the 10-beller it could have been.
Yeah. So is this in your top 5 MCU?
I haven't done the ranking since. I need to. I have a ranking on Letterboxd.
What do you think? What would it have to beat?
Well,
It's not going to beat Endgame. It's not going to beat No Way Home.
It's not beat. Yeah, obviously those two. It's not going to beat. It's not going to beat Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War is pretty incredible.
It's not going to beat the first Avengers.
Huh. Interesting. I don't know. For me, it might. I don't know.
I was so jacked up for that first Avengers movie, and like I did the marathon where they showed every solo movie leading up to the Avengers
In theaters like that day?
that day when the first Avengers came out.
You know what? There's only 5 leading up to it, so that's doable.
Exactly.
If it was like 20...
They did one for Endgame.
I know.
And if I didn't work, I would have done it.
Oh my
But
God.
but like it's so much more manageable.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. 5 is great.
So, you know, I was so hyped for that. And the first Iron Man to me is honestly a perfect movie.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think
So honestly, it's somewhere between 6 and 15. I'd have to really think, but I don't think it would top any of those for me.
I think for me, it's probably top 5. I think that my top 5...
Top 5!
I think my top 5 are probably Civil War, Endgame, No Way Home.
Civil War's number 1?
No. I'm just saying
not
in the top 5.
order, yeah.
And Endgame is probably number 1, honestly. But Civil War is up there. And Civil War, Endgame. It's weird. It's smaller, but I love Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, aside from like popcorn movies, as a movie,
It's
it's
great.
actually the best one.
I know.
It's like a It's like actual like I know the Martin Scorsese argument, cinema and not cinema. That movie is actually cinema, in my opinion.
It's a type of movie that we are now starved for. That was common in like the late 90s when we were like getting into action
Exactly,
movies,
yeah.
basically. So it's up there for me. And before we go into spoiler territory, I would like to bring up one thing.
All right.
I thought this would be cool.
H.P. Lovecraft's cat's name. I'm gonna say it.
Okay, ready? All right. This is from Deadline. This is all the records that Deadpool and Wolverine broke.
Okay.
Highest R-rated opening of all time, both worldwide and domestic. 444 million worldwide, 211 domestic. Right?
So it already made 600 million.
I think that by now, even though we're just like not in the next weekend yet, I think it's almost up to 600.
Well,
600 domestic.
Okay, yeah, because I saw it made 25 million on Monday this week.
Yeah, it made a ton this week. So
I'm seeing it again Saturday, I think.
So highest R-rated. I'm seeing it Sunday.
Okay.
I have to see my parents, which I'm so psyched that my 70-year-old dad and my mom, who is like 67 or something, 66, are like psyched for. My mom is like insane, like psyched up for Deadpool. And
Really?
Wolverine. Dude, my mom is the coolest.
I've met your mom. I like her.
She's like, she texts me about like when Mike Birbiglia, when we found out that he had a studio in Providence. She's the one that told me. She's the one that found out. Like she like watches comedy. She watches action movies. She loves all this shit. She's 100% in. I mean, I'm taking my parents to go see Green Day in Rancid next week in Philly.
That's sick.
You know what I mean? Like she's the best. They're the coolest. But highest R-rated opening of all time, both worldwide and domestic. Biggest global opening since Avatar: Way of the Water. Biggest domestic opening ever for Ryan Reynolds. Biggest domestic opening ever for Hugh Jackman.
Wow.
Biggest domestic opening ever for Sean Levy, who directed Night at the Museum, which was actually pretty big.
And he did Real Steel, which I really liked.
Highest July opening weekend of all time.
July?
Surpassing Lion King, which was the previous highest.
Wow.
Highest grossing X-Men movie ever at the domestic box office. It says, blah, blah, blah. Ready for this? This is interesting. 34th consecutive MCU release to debut at number 1 of the box office.
That's not too shocking.
But it's pretty kooky.
It is a good streak. There's been 34 MCU movies.
Highest domestic opening weekend of 2024 and highest since Spider-Man No Way Home in December of 2021. Number 6 highest domestic of all time. 6th highest opening day at the box office. Number 4 highest superhero opening weekend of all time.
And this is R rating.
And it's R rating, and that's behind Endgame, No Way Home, and Infinity War. This is interesting. Number 2 highest opening weekend for a third installment of all time.
Wait, what number for a third?
Number 2.
It's the second highest third installment ever.
But it says it's only behind Avengers Endgame. But I argue that Endgame is a fourth installment.
Infinity War is a third.
So it might be the biggest. Yeah. Walt Disney is responsible for 16 of the top 20 opening domestic weekends of all time, with MCU responsible for 11 of the top 20.
The others are probably Star Wars or Lion King.
Yeah. Highest opening weekend ever for a U.S. R-rated release. But yeah, so it's just like biggest R-rated Monday at the domestic box office, biggest R-rated Tuesday at the domestic box office, which is insane. It's just like
it's a juggernaut.
There's something, no pun intended. There's something special about the fact that this is our type of movie and our type of humor and the thing we love, and it is connecting with this many people across the world.
And I think it's also like you know, I'm a big movie theater proponent, and I think it shows that when you're giving people what they want, and you're giving them the characters they want, and the thing they want, and you're not trying to rug pull them, and you're not fucking with the audience, and you're like, this is what you want, here you go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be reciprocated, you know? And like, I give a lot of credit to that to Ryan Reynolds, honestly, because
me too.
I think he's not getting the credit he deserves as almost an auteur and the stewardship of the character and the franchise.
I completely agree. I think that I've been a Ryan Reynolds fan since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, which takes place in Boston. It was an ABC TV show in the mid '90s. I loved fucking Just Friends. I loved everything Ryan Reynolds did. I was always such a big proponent of his. And the character of Wade Wilson / Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds.
Made for him.
Like, I understand if you read the comics, it translates really well, but also the tone of voice and the rhythms, that stuff can't come through on a comic book page. And he has created it. And it's not just Deadpool. It is a version of Ryan Reynolds' comedy that is at the most shaped.
He gets to do what he does best in this world, and it's a perfect mix. Honestly, there's a couple of castings that have been absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
For comics, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and I think right up there, you know, not going to go through the whole list, but right up there is Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, for sure.
He is perfect as Deadpool.
And Jackman.
I don't think it was perfect casting, but I think he's such a good actor, he made it his own. Because he's not like comic Wolverine.
I guess you're right. I guess it's almost like he took it and made it his own thing, and now there's another version of Wolverine that is Hugh Jackman. You're right. But yeah, so that's how this movie has taken over the world. Are you ready for spoiler-free territory?
One more thing I want to talk about before spoilers.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Ryan Reynolds real quick. This movie and franchise was not supposed to be. It was not supposed to exist. Like, this all stemmed from leaked test footage.
2 times.
Twice. Mm-hmm. That resurrected this movie and kept it alive, because this isn't a spoiler. At the end of the movie, in the credits, they show BTS interviews from when Ryan Reynolds is playing Deadpool X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he's talking about how much he loves the character and how he feels like this is the right role. And it's like, this is a guy who has driven this whole thing to fruition, has held up quality and humor. Like, you hear stories on the first movie, they wouldn't pay. He didn't make any money on the first Deadpool movie. Do you know that?
No.
He put all his money almost back into the movie, or deferred it, I guess, to the box office. He threw away all his money and had his writers who wrote the script with him on set so they could come up with jokes on the fly as like a writer's room, and they could bounce stuff off as they were filming.
I actually did read about that because of the writer's strike on this third one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not even surprised to hear that. But yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a real it's one of those like Hollywood stories that you want to believe happens.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this person just fought all the odds and kept saying like, I don't give a shit, I'm pushing forward with this, and he made it. You know what I mean?
It's like, look, he did everything basically but direct it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's his fucking vision. He's an auteur, you know, and I think he should get more credit for it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So,
I mean, I think right now he's on top of the world.
oh yeah, right now
You know what I mean?
he could do anything he wants.
Oh, it's crazy. All right, you ready for spoilers?
Spoiler time.
All right, let's talk opening scene. I think it was so amazing at setting the tone.
It was fun, and it's like I'm dancing on the grave of Logan.
Well, I think what it's doing is saying, if we lived in a world where people would just accept that this is going to be the next thing, and they're not gonna do anything to fuck with Logan, and they're just moving forward, that'd be one thing. But we live in a world where billions of people have been like, fuck you, Logan is so important, how are you doing this again? There's already that criticism that exists. So
there's
I think
a weird negative reaction to the movie, just its existence, and like one of the big MCU things we'll talk about at the end, where it's like, why are you doing this? Logan was perfect. Oh, you're going back into nostalgia and like getting this person back or doing that. It's like, yeah, you're kind of right. There is some nostalgia at play, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it is a new direction and it's a new thing.
Yeah.
And it's like when Coca-Cola reverted back to Coke from New Coke, no one was fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Because they were correcting their mistake. So enjoy that you're seeing this, you know, and you're not stuck with Crystal Pepsi forever.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And I think it was the perfect tone setter. And for me personally, the fact that he actually had the corpse next to him, I was like, this is so amazing in terms of saying nothing is sacred in this movie. Like, get ready. It's the same thing as killing Drew Barrymore in the opening of Scream.
Yeah.
Nothing is safe, and you're ready for anything, and you're put on uneasy ground. And I love that, and I think they executed it perfectly. And also, it wasn't done in a way that's like, this is all we're doing. It was also like in line with the other opening
fits
credits.
In the story.
And, yeah, it fits in the story. And it was super fun and super funny and super exciting. Even if that was just an action scene where he was killing a ton of people, that version of Bye 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 with NSYNC.
Well, I've
and
had
doing
it stuck in my head since.
Me too.
My wife was in the kitchen. I started doing the dance. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong. We watched Trap today.
Okay.
We don't have to spoil the ending.
Yeah.
Did Bye 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 play at the end?
I didn't catch it.
When?
Yeah, I know it. I didn't catch it personally.
Because I was driving away from the theater and I'm singing it, and I'm like, was that in that movie?
I thought it was a generic pop song, to be honest.
Maybe it was.
But did you see what they did for the NSYNC video on YouTube?
Yeah, they changed the name of it.
They changed the title. There's like "Bye Bye Bye" from Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know.
Like that song it's in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not from Deadpool and Wolverine. I was watching TRL when that shit was fucking
right. That opening scene was fucking amazing. I think even when they were like, oh, when Deadpool was going around in 2018 and correcting all these mistakes, he went into the MCU to apply for the apply to be in the Avengers with Happy Hogan.
That was something where I was like, this is a little weird and I don't understand how it's happening, but I'm like, okay, I'll go with it.
I really loved it. I really loved the idea of him wanting to be an Avenger to the point where that was a thing that he did in the past. And it's almost like, because you got to realize as a writer, director, whatever for this movie, you're stuck with the story that you have, and if you want to come up with stuff, you kind of have to see, does it fit in with what we've done?
You're building continuity, which is a problem I have with a lot of projects where it's like people doing certain Star Wars or Marvel projects. I'm not going to get specific. it feels like you wanted to do your own thing, and instead of fitting canon and building something in, you just took pre-existing shit and fucked it up.
Right. I agree.
And they did not do that in this, which is what I liked.
Well, the idea of being like one of the things that he did was go back to the Avengers then. So for the past however many years.
All right, but can you explain to me
why he's in a different universe?
No. How does he get there? So we know he has a time travel device.
Yeah.
Like he has Cable's time travel device. But how does he get from X universe, like 1001, to MCU? Now, in my head, I just go, this is all comic fake bullshit, so who cares?
I think
But what is the canon reason?
Well, he also goes into the real world and kills Ryan Reynolds before he does Green Lantern.
Well, could that be a Ryan Reynolds in the Fox world? You know?
He also goes back to Wolverine Origins with another Deadpool.
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I mean, they didn't explain the mechanics of that thing that much, but if we do accept Deadpool 2 and the terms of all that stuff, he already did kind of go into different universes.
Okay, so he can universe hop with that device?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I just wish it was said explicitly because I thought it was a time machine.
I think that right now, because of the multiverse hopping and all this kind of stuff built in, and the fact that they're going to say, well, that silly post-credit scene is now going to become a thing that actually matters, I think we have to accept it as that. Because he did go... He killed the other Deadpool, so that's definitely a different universe.
Yeah.
He killed Ryan Reynolds in the real world. I don't know what else he did. I know he was going to see Hitler.
No, wait, hold on. It has to be the same. It has to be the same Deadpool. There has to be two Wade Wilsons, because that's the Wolverine that ends up in Logan.
No, it's not.
It's not the Anchor.
I've done a deep dive on the X-Men movies and all the problems with continuity. And basically, I guess what Fox has kind of like generally said is like you just have to accept that none of these movies are really like sequels to each other.
Really? That's what they said?
It was basically like just think of each movie as another chapter with these characters. And I mean, it's true. There's like, you know, what's his name? Who did Peter Dinklage play?
Trask.
Trask was in the original X-Men series, in the original trilogy. And he was a huge black guy.
Was he?
Yeah. He was in a war room with like a bunch of other people.
I'll believe you. I haven't seen it in a while.
So basically, I'll send you this video, and it basically is like 26 minutes long, and it breaks down every continuity ever in the X-Men movies. And it's like the X-Men movies have the worst continuity of any movie series.
So that black dude is like in another universe. I'm Jimmy the Hair Guy.
Yeah. But there's also like at the end of Days of Future Past, Stryker pulls up Wolverine from the base of the thing. He goes on the boat, implying he's going to do the Wolverine Origins thing. Then he looks at the camera, and it's Mystique.
Okay.
But in the actual story, it is Stryker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
It's played by like it's like Sean William Scott's brother is the guy who plays young Stryker in that movie, and he looks and his eyes do the thing. And then later they're like, no, that was him. And it's like, wait, what? What do you mean?
And doesn't he, like Wolverine at the end of that movie, he's in like the 90s X-Mansion?
There's a lot of... So here one of the things they say is they go... They put it... I saw this meme, and it was like, here's Charles Xavier in 1967. And they have that. And it goes... He's McAvoy until like 1994.
Look,
and
he had a rough 6 years.
But don't they also create a different storyline for Magneto and Charles Xavier to have met?
No, I'm pretty sure that is the same where they met.
I don't think so.
Are you sure? Because wasn't it like after the Holocaust they met?
I thought it was different in this one. I thought it was different. What really happened for any viewers who are watching and kind of like, what do you mean? The original X-Men trilogy pretty much stands together. Then they made First Class and it did really well. Then they made Days of Future Past and they decided to combine the two worlds like they're the same, but they aren't. Charles Xavier says he met Magneto at a wicked different age in one of them.
Does he?
And also he never has in the X-Men trilogy he never met Mystique, even though in the in the First Class one they're like best friends / maybe almost lovers.
Brother, sister, yeah.
I mean also what's her name? Maureen McTaggart or whatever her name is.
Moira.
Like she's at the end of X-Men 3, and she's
Well,
way
she's
different.
supposed to help like Patrick Stewart get a new body or something.
But she's a wicked different age than the other person. She's played by a different actress. So I think the X-Men movies have I think you could probably look at it like X-Men 1 through 3 is one thing.
Definitely, I think.
And then First Class starts one thing.
And I think you could even look at First Class to X-Men The Last Stand. I think it still would kind of work.
The Last Stand? Which one?
X-Men 3.
The First Class 3, you mean?
Yeah, I think it's Days of Future Past that fucks everything up.
But that's the second one. That's the one right after First Class.
No, I'm talking about like if you just took X-Men First Class, and it wasn't connected to Days of Future Past. I do think that it would work as a prequel to 1 through 3.
I do think that Magneto and Charles Xavier in First Class establish a different initial meeting point than they do in the first movie.
You think so?
I think so. We'll have to double check that, but that's for a popcorn. What's that? What's under the Colonel? Private. A popcorn private.
Yeah.
It's Brad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think that the Wolverines and all the characters are kind of like, I don't think everything adds up. I think if you actually wrote it all down, it already wouldn't add up. And so I don't know if Logan is the same Wolverine from Wolverine Origins.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, but I do think it doesn't like line up perfectly.
It's like I kind of always have had my own headcanon with that shit to make it work. So
Me too. And the thing is, I think a lot of these characters are smaller or it's background details, so you don't acknowledge it as much. But they did the Phoenix storyline 3 times.
Well, 3? Hold on, I'm trying to think.
They did it 2 big times, and then in a different movie, they had her rising up.
Oh yeah.
It's
in
like
Apocalypse.
It's
right?
like, what did this happen? Like, what do you mean? What happened here? And explain this. So, I don't know if we were saying the Logan is the same Logan as it was in Wolverine Origins. I don't know. But that would mean there's 2 Deadpools.
Exactly.
That's really weird. So I think for the universe hopping thing, it's tough. It's.
We'll just say his device can hop universes. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense in terms.
They never say it explicitly, though.
I think the real answer is at the end of Deadpool 2, they did it as a comedy montage, and in this, they took it into also this real thing happening.
This can happen, yeah.
So that's what's tough about it. But I love that they set him up as he applied for the Avengers and got ignored, and he just became a used car salesman. I'm all the stuff that was like set up in terms of like the TVA coming in, pulling him in. And
no, you didn't watch Loki, right?
I only watched Loki season 1 and I watched season 2, but I love the TVA pulling him in. All that stuff was awesome. I thought it was super funny. I mean, that's what's great about these movies is that the exposition feels so fun because it's funny.
Well, Deadpool, he's able to mock it and call it stupid or whatever. And
I love when he ran towards
boring.
the camera and he's like, "Fuck you, Fox, Disney." Blah, blah. And he takes the shotgun mic. Amazing. I love that. And then when he does. I didn't expect this. I don't know if you expected this. The montage of him hopping around finding a Wolverine.
I didn't know it was going to happen, but it was so much fucking fun.
I thought it was amazing. I mean, when I saw the patch thing in the trailer, I did think it was going to be him looking for Wolverine.
I was hearing Daniel Radcliffe.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But the one that they did, where it was the Age of Apocalypse
they did
Wolverine.
Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. They did one of the covers. I think it's like X-Men 258, where Wolverine's on the
crucified.
X.
I loved the short Wolverine, the
That
Henry
was
Cavill
fun.
one.
They did the Hulk cameo.
Yeah, the Hulk cameo with the thing, with the old suit.
Henry Cavill.
I was like, we watched the opening scene of the Logan dig up thing, and then that part, and I was like, I can't believe how fun this is. I cannot believe how fun this is.
It was like, oh wow, you're getting Henry Cavill and you're making DC jokes. Like that's awesome.
It was fucking. I couldn't believe it.
By the way, I totally would have loved Henry Cavill as Wolverine based on that. He looked fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I mean Cavill rules too. He's another one of those guys who's just awesome. Loved all that stuff. Loved him finding the Wolverine. The actual Wolverine he uses, and I texted you about this, and I have this little issue.
Yeah, this is your big gripe with the movie.
I'm past it, whatever. But the fact that it's just like he's the worst Wolverine in the world because he wasn't home when the X-Men got killed.
By the way, all right. So the worst Wolverine, shouldn't he be like
Hitler,
like fat? You know, like he's like a fat slob. He's like, look, like he's like high. He's like, look, all I want to do is just smoke weed and fucking.
He should be like racist. Like it should be like, you know what I mean? Like it should be like, he should be, that's really funny.
Like he just kind of like made one mistake. How is he the worst Wolverine?
He needs to be like a Reddit troll.
Yeah.
He's
Fuck
typing.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I just felt like for me personally, if I was in charge, if I was writer, director, if we were like, we want to give him an arc that he feels worthless and like he's not anything and he want him to end up saving the day, I would give him something more specific as a way that he failed that he could overcome from a storytelling perspective.
Well, because in the movie, what they say is he is the worst Wolverine because, and he explains this in the third act exposition dump, backstory dump, as like Deadpool calls it, where basically he left. He never wanted to be a part of the team of the X-Men. He didn't want to wear the yellow and blue.
Yeah.
And he left the house, like the X-Mansion, to go do whatever. And while he was gone, people came and killed all the X-Men.
Yes.
Then Wolverine went on a murderous rampage, killing everything. And this caused people to hate mutants even more.
Now, I think it's...
that's what they say, right?
They do say that. It's across two different scenes that are really far apart from each other.
Yes.
And when he says the second part of it about becoming a thing, I thought that was giving us more insight onto what he was like before the X-Men got killed, which fueled hate for the mutants, which is why people came and killed them. But I might be wrong. It might be just that was his response to it, and they were just like a little bit ambiguous about it, maybe. I don't remember the exact lines. So I just felt like that was a little bit too vague, and I also felt like Wolverine was already this weird loner who it felt like, to me, as a person who is a fan of comic books now and all this stuff, he might go like, I'm gonna move to Canada for a little bit, or I'm gonna be in Japan.
I mean, that's always been his thing. You know, he's just traveling around.
That's why it's weird to me to be like, I wasn't home for one night, so I feel so guilty.
And also, it's not like the X-Men are fucking little babies.
This is what I mean. It's like, it's really weird because it's like, what if Thor was like, I wasn't around to protect the Hulk?
Yeah,
it's like I think the Hulk can do it.
They still have Cyclops. They still have like Jean Grey,
Professor X.
You know,
Beast,
like
that's why
they're still mutants.
That's why it's hard for me to buy. And also, I mean, let's be honest. If the humans are coming to kill them, don't they also have like fucking Magneto and Sabretooth and like everyone's gonna be like, fuck this? You know what I mean? So whatever. We don't know what happened. I just find the idea of a character who is already possibly absent and comes and goes. The idea that he's like, I was gone for one night, so they got killed. It's really strange for me as a pill to swallow for that character.
Now, I think they should have done what they did in Old Man Logan in the comics. And I think they did do that in the Logan movie, right?
No.
Oh, they didn't.
He didn't kill them.
So in the Old Man Logan comics, which I think is what they should have done.
Old Man Logan comics are what got me into comic books as an adult.
Okay.
That specific comic
book.
storyline.
That storyline is phenomenal. It basically takes place in a random post-apocalyptic Earth. It's like the Clint Eastwood movie Unforgiven. And Wolverine is alone basically on this post-apocalyptic planet and post-apocalyptic Earth, and we don't know how it got that way. We find out later that the reason he's a loner and all this shit is because he was brainwashed by Mysterio and he saw these villains and stuff, and he killed them all.
He basically was woken up from sleep by the villains, all the classic X-Men villains.
Yes.
And even more, like Green Goblin is part of it.
It's all the villains.
Invading the X-Mansion, and he killed them all. And then you find out that it was actually all the other X-Men, and the reason they weren't fighting him back is because they loved him.
They were trying to stop him.
They were trying to stop him, and Mysterio had tricked him. So he was kind of used as a tool by the villains, and after that, the villains band together
and they win.
And they took over the entire United States. So it's like, this is Red Skull's area, this is this person's area, this
Hulk,
is Wilson Fisk, whatever. Yeah, and Hulk becomes a bad guy. And so that's what I thought was going to be the reveal, especially when they showed all the graves in the trailer.
They should have done that because they already had Old Man Logan in the movie.
I know, they did. And they already had the giant Ant-Man skeleton that she lives in the desert.
Yeah.
I think, you want to know why I think they didn't do it? Because I think that there's maybe more of a story to tell with this character, and we don't know what their plans are. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess, I would say, and this is my prediction as of August 1st, 2024, they're going to do at least one more movie with him, and then he's going to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars. At the very least, Secret Wars.
I will be very surprised if Hugh Jackman and Wolverine are not around again doing this more.
Yeah, exactly. So I think maybe they were like, if we do have him kill all the X-Men, what is our future with the X-Men? It's a lot of baggage.
Now we have to bring this in, and then when they come back,
it's a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
It's a lot of baggage. So I think maybe they were like, let's keep this vague, and I think that's really why. However, I just think that they should have given him something. Even if I mean, I don't know what it would be, but like, I wish that it was his fault in some way that the X-Men were killed.
I cooked a meal. It had E. coli. I took them all out, bub.
I really do wish he was somehow to blame, though. I wish there was a time where they depended on him and he ran, because he's never a coward. What if he had done that? What if there was this huge moment? Maybe they even allude to a specific battle. Like, remember when Magneto moved the bridge? What if there was a huge moment, or even from the comics, like some monstrous battle, and they were like, we're depending on you, and he's like, and I couldn't take the pressure, and Deadpool's like, well, what did you do? And he's like, I left. And he's like, what do you mean you left? He's like, he's like, in the middle of the night before this thing, I just left. And he like cowardly ran away, and they were killed in that battle, and it's like, what if? That would be better. It would be just as vague.
What if we make him not a coward, and he selfishly took on some personal business? Like, he had a choice between like a personal thing, and this big X event, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I had to go for the personal event, you know? Because I think you don't want to make him a complete coward, because I think it changes too much stuff in the story, such as like, you know, being willing to fight people and stuff like that. I think it's too much of a domino.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is why I think if he makes the wrong choice, that's a selfish choice, and it leads to their destruction, maybe it's a little cleaner.
What if he said, this is a suicide mission, I'm not helping. This is like a suicide mission. Like, we're not going to make it out of this.
Yeah.
And they go without him.
Or you guys, you're going to die if you do this. I'm the only one that would live. I don't want you to do this.
Yeah. And he just doesn't go.
Yeah.
Something like that. I wish it was a little bit more specific. But that's okay. I think it's a minor gripe. I guess it's Wolverine. All their fun and game stuff is so fucking fun.
Their banter is so good, man.
It's ridiculous. And the fact that he's always mad at Deadpool is so good.
Imagine like you're with someone and they're fucking crazy and they keep turning and talking to like an invisible audience.
Yeah. No, I know. No, that was killer. I mean, we got to talk about the cameos.
Well, I love their fight scenes are great.
Oh, the first fight scene was awesome. Wait, what was the first? What was this?
The first one is the one where Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, before the fight happens, he goes, "Get your cum socks ready, boys," you know? And like they have this really cool fight outside in the void.
Right.
And that leads us to our first big cameo after Henry Cavill.
So in December at this lunch, he was like, Chris Evans is going to show up. The movie wants you to think it's Captain America. They're going to play the Captain America theme, and then he's going to say "Flame On," and he's going to be Johnny. And I was like, no way. He's like, I don't know. That's what I heard. And I think they played it because that's what happens essentially. Yeah. Is there's a masked figure.
And I mean,
figure.
You see a little bit of the blue suit with a little white, and you hear the voice.
I think it was executed so well.
Once I heard the voice, I knew what was coming.
It was amazing.
I knew it wasn't Cap.
Yeah, right. I thought it was amazing. I thought I was like so excited, and I think the fact that they go like, he's like talking to them and stuff, and he's like watch it. He's a careful, Cap. He's like, we had some dirty mouths over here, or whatever he says. Then Captain America calls him a dickhead, and Deadpool looks at him.
Yeah,
and that's your little hint that it's gonna happen. I was like, that is fucking amazing.
And he's like, oh, here it goes, and he says it, and it's like, oh shit, my theater popped. I don't know about yours.
Fuck yeah, dude. My theater was the type of theater that when Blade came out, I stood up and shrieked.
Okay.
like on my feet, grown man. Like, I'm talking shriek.
I did not know that Blade was showing up.
I didn't know either. Oh, I didn't. So I heard Johnny, Human Torch from this person. But for the rest of the stuff, I didn't really have it. I heard what he told me at lunch was like, he's like, I heard they're trying to get everybody. They're getting everybody. That's all I heard. He goes, the only one that's a holdout is Affleck. And I was like, okay. So I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't know going in. So that happens. They go to meet Cassandra Nova. I thought she was fucking awesome. I thought the idea of going into your mind, the way they did it with the fingers,
cool.
I thought I was like,
as a visual thing, yeah.
it's weird because that kind of stuff can really just like suck sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, they're just standing there like this.
Yeah, or like if there's like weird lines or whatever, it's like it can be so underwhelming. This was so well done, and I was like, "Fuck yes!"
It looks so invasive.
It was excellent. That whole scene was great. With you're getting all the old X-Men villains that you see from the thing.
Real quick, minor nerd gripe. I hated when Pyro just extinguished the Human Torch.
I know.
And they bitched him like that. I was like, "Fuck, man! Like I love Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Why do we got to do him like this? You know?"
Pyro is in charge of. He can.
I get it. But it's also like I just don't want to see that.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
like
I know.
I love that character.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. When they killed him, I was kind of like, oh, I wish there was more. I thought he was gonna be part of it. Maybe.
We got another multiverse movie coming up. Like, why do we got to kill him right now?
I know. I was like a little bit hopeful that they would have their own little team, and it would be.
I was hoping we would see at least two of them. You know.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, even if because obviously the people that come in are Elektra, Jennifer Garner, Wesley Snipes Blade, and Channing Tatum Gambit, and X-23. Those people plus Wolverine and Deadpool and Human Torch, I thought they might be like a team for most of the movie.
Yeah, that's what.
You know what I mean? So, but it was fine. I mean, it was amazingly. It was so well done, and I actually thought that the post-credit scene in this one, just because sometimes I get annoyed when it's just a joke. This one, where you find out that he actually really did say all that stuff in the thing, was so good. I thought.
Oh, I thought Deadpool altered the footage.
No. It's just Chris Evans doing it though.
I thought it was like edited footage almost.
Oh, I didn't think that. No.
Oh,
that's funny though. Maybe I misread
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so that was awesome. I loved that. I thought that the villain was. I thought she was great. I thought that like the way that she was personifying that was great. I thought how powerful she was like very much overwhelming for them, which is great. So I think it's the Days of Future Past Sentinels.
Yeah.
I think that's the leg that they grabbed onto to get out of the thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
When they're in this little area of the villain's like hideout, which is Ant-Man's
like head, yeah,
and his body and his arms and stuff. The way they get away at the end is using that leg, and they get out of it.
Yeah, it boosts them out.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, I thought that all that stuff was awesome. Toad, everybody, and then they go.
Now, real quick, that was the Punisher's villain, the Russian, right?
Yes.
I thought we were gonna get Thomas Jane from that.
Me too. I mean, I thought we were too.
I really
they
wanted
mentioned
a
him
Punisher.
twice. I
I
think
know.
they mentioned him twice.
We've had a couple Punishers.
Well, also the bazooka. They said this is from the Punisher or whatever. Oh, I love the line from Blade. There's only one blade, and there's only going to be one blade. Ryan Reynolds looks at the camera.
With how that movie's been delayed.
Well, I also think that, how they launched Midnight Suns last year?
Yeah, I have the game. I haven't played it yet.
I think it's very possible they did that because they might make a Midnight Suns movie. Isn't it Wolverine, Blade? Like, who's in it?
Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Blade. Those are the ones I know off the top of my head. I think Spider-Man's in the game, too.
Yeah, I thought it was Deadpool, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm probably getting it mixed up with X-Force. Yeah. But so they get out. They go to that diner. That whole scene is great.
That's cool where they're in the empty diner.
I love that. I thought all that stuff was awesome. Like, just the way they come back and forth. And then, obviously, they come across X-23, which that was awesome. I mean, it revealed that in the trailer. It's not a surprise.
Well, they said the reason they had to reveal her was because she wanted to go to the premiere to watch it.
And, really?
And they were like, if you're there at the premiere, everyone's going to say, why is the girl from Logan here? So she basically was like, I want to be at the premiere. And they're like, fine, we'll just put it out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking
because
to me.
I think it didn't move my needle at all.
It did for me a little bit. Not as much as any of the other stuff.
Well, the other characters, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, me too. But it's weird because I was going to say, I thought the marketing for this was so good that I kind of expected that was a plan. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of bled little, little things. They also cut. I have a theory about this. I'll tell you at the end.
Right.
They cut a cameo.
Did they?
A little one. Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think I know why, though. And I'll tell you why afterwards. But, that's when they go into the room. And by the way, I watched the new Rockstars breakdown. And I'm just going to put this out there. I think new Rockstars is better at this kind of movie breakdown stuff.
Well, I'm declaring war. The popcorn kernels are declaring war on new rock stars.
I think they're the best. Do you know that they did a video recently just going at Entertainment Weekly about an article that they put out about like confirming some news about this movie? And they were like, they didn't do this with journalistic integrity. They didn't do this, by the way. And they just did a whole video about it.
Really?
Because Entertainment Weekly basically said we have the exclusive scoop that Taylor Swift will not be in this movie. But then they didn't cite anything. They didn't say anything about where they got it from. And like Eric Voss, who is like, to me, the god of this kind of stuff. I really think that they're the best team for this. And there's some other people that are good too, but just they're like head and shoulders above everybody. He did just a video about why that's not the way to do that. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So I think he has more of a stake in taking this kind of new like movie, like extreme fandom to a level of professionalism that other people don't have, which is why I think they're so good.
And fully breaking every moment down.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, I was going to say, so they broke down all the stuff in the Void, and I missed some of it. Like,
there's so much.
I saw Thor's original helmet. You see that?
I heard about it. I didn't see it. I heard a lot of shit I didn't see. Like, apparently there's, like, a Nazi Iron Man car.
Yeah. So it's Red Skull's car,
Yeah.
but it's redone with the paint from Iron Man's hot rod. Yeah, that was in the trailer. They had Captain America's motorcycle, obviously, along with the other Hydra motorcycles. They had the Fantastic Four car.
Yeah, that I saw.
Hulk in Ragnarok sleeps in like a big bed, and it's a jaw of a thing.
Okay.
They have that. That's what Deadpool is sitting on in their like lair.
I definitely missed that.
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of. I mean, it's hard to even recognize it.
You have to pause and go frame by frame, which is I'm glad people do it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't have time to do that shit.
I know, it's crazy. But there was a lot of stuff in the Void. So they go back with X-23 and they reveal Elektra, and
There's a great Ben Affleck joke.
oh, I mean, when they revealed Elektra, I was psyched. I was like, that's really cool. Then they revealed Blade, and I was like, I couldn't believe that.
That was shocking to me.
I knew there was going to be at least a few cameos, and Blade was like on my list of like least likely.
It wasn't even something I was thinking about.
I know. I was amazing. And then when Channing Tatum did come in as Gambit, I was like, "This is fucking awesome." It's funny too because another guy that I do like is the Pitch Meetings guy.
Okay, yeah.
Ryan Aries. I don't know.
Ryan Airy, yeah.
So, I think Ryan Aries is from Screen Crush.
You're right. That is Screen Crush.
It's Ryan though. His name's Ryan.
Ryan George.
Ryan George, and he's from Screen Rant.
Screen Rant, yeah.
Screen Rant, Screen Crush, New Rockstars, Eric Voss. Right. Look,
You don't need any of that. You need popcorn kernels.
Popcorn kernels are gonna.
That's the name, right?
I do. It's so good. I really like concession stands, but popcorn kernels is just a little bit dumber. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I can already picture the artwork too. So anyway,
Yeah.
so when those things happen, I literally stood up and shrieked. And here's what's cool about it, and we don't have to, we'll continue through the movie. I don't want to derail too much. The fact that this did become a story about the misfit toys that weren't appreciated, getting their due,
Their emotional moment.
and like Deadpool is a representation of those people.
Well,
and here are the actual
He
people.
is one of those people because if it's not for Ryan Reynolds pulling out this miraculous leak, he's with Gambit.
Did you see the Gambit thing? Did you see the thing that Channing Tatum wrote?
About Ryan Reynolds? Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It's fucking incredible. And I it's weird because this, like, people that are like, oh, it's a cameo fest, it's nothing. I'm like, you don't get it. Like, you weren't paying attention enough.
It's not just cameos, though. It's not like cameos for cameo's sake.
Yeah.
They serve a purpose. Like Henry Cavill, 100% cameo for cameo's sake.
Which is fine.
It's fine. It's a little thing. It's not the other things are story relevant. Now, what hurts me with these cameos is, and I love them all and they work in the movie, they didn't have the hero that I love that's like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
That's going to bring it over the top for me. You know? So it's like, if they had busted out a Daredevil or Thomas Jane's Punisher, I think that's something where I would have went like, holy fuck.
I think,
And like Johnny Storm could have been that, but they fucking axed him so early.
I think that they looked at it like Deadpool and Wolverine was that.
I know.
You know what I mean? And they were like, how many people do we really want to add to this? Because just with Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and X-23, that's already 4 to make 6 people, and there's already 2 leads. So I think maybe that's why. It's like, how many do we need before it becomes like... And this is, by the way, this is on top of like, there's like 7 villains that are also from old movies too. Like, I know some of them were like like the Russian and Juggernaut were like not really the
They're
actors.
recast,
They're
yeah.
recast. But then like Ray Parker Toad, that's big.
Yep.
Pyro's big. You know what I mean? Like there's like certain people that are more important. Curiously, that meeting I had, the guy said the villain was Pyro. And I was
Really?
like, really? And he wasn't, obviously. So that's interesting. So it was partial information. But anyway, so I loved. I love the fact that they actually. It wasn't just like, look who we found in the void. It was like, we need to give them a moment, and they'd say that in the movie.
Yeah.
They're like, we want to be redeemed.
They're basically like, we're all gonna die. Let's go down in a blaze of glory.
And it was like, we're gonna these people deserve this, and it was a representation for the overall story. And I'm like, that's the blockbuster. That's the blockbuster magic. That's what the popcorn kernels are looking for.
Yes.
It's like you want like much like Jurassic World. Like some people are like, Jurassic World is like Jurassic Park 4. It's stupid, whatever. I go,
I love Jurassic World.
I'm like, Colin Trevorrow made Jurassic World where the Indominus Rex is Jurassic World.
Yes.
And the other dinosaurs are Jurassic
People
Park.
don't get Jurassic World. The movie is about Jurassic. It's a meta movie, and people don't get it.
Colin Trevorrow came out and said, I don't think there should have been a Jurassic Park 4,
Yes.
but I couldn't turn down the opportunity, so I made it about how there shouldn't be a Jurassic Park 4.
Yes.
That's brilliant. That's getting on the inside of the Hollywood doors and saying, I'm going to tell my own story using the pieces I'm forced to play with. And it's incredible. And I feel like that's what they did here.
Totally.
Same thing with the cam. I think they did the exact same that thing. And like I said, it represented the story of the main characters as well. So they go back in. All that shit's so fucking good. That Ben Affleck joke is awesome. All the banter around that stuff is fucking incredible.
Yeah, seeing them all interact. And honestly, you're paying off almost 20-year-old stories and movies which are panned. Like when what's it called? What was that? When Morbius came out, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, this looks like a pile of shit. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen a superhero movie this shitty since Elektra.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, where it's like low budget B movie schlock. It's like, I can't wait to see this because that's how shit used to be.
Yes.
And it's forgotten. And to really redeem these characters in a show, it's like the characters aren't bad. They were put in bad situations.
Yes.
With certain circumstances and whatever reasons where
Exactly.
they didn't hit. And Blade was a fucking hit. We had 3 Blade
We had 3
movies.
Blades. Blade is the actual dawn of this kind of stuff. It predated X-Men and
Yeah, the
Spider-Man,
first one,
right?
yeah.
it just wasn't looked at as a superhero
Exactly,
movie because
it's like
it was
its
so
own
vampire.
thing.
It's almost like
Yeah.
half horror.
And you know him and Ryan Reynolds didn't like each other, right?
I know, yeah, I do know that, which is great.
And there's a little joke, which I love, where he's basically Wesley Snipes' as Blade is like, I don't like you. And fucking Ryan Reynolds mugs to the camera. It's like, you never did.
Yeah, I know.
And I wonder how many people don't get that joke or forgot he played Hannibal in Blade 3.
And by the way, that character is Deadpool.
It's the same thing.
And also, there was another thing that I think my theater missed, which is they reminisce about their characters, and whenever it cuts to Channing Tatum, he's like, it's almost like I don't remember how I started,
Yes.
because he's never been a character before.
It's like I was born here.
Yeah, it's like no one got those jokes, and I was like, I'm shaking Natalie.
Yeah.
By the way, Natalie's 100% in on all this shit, flipping
She
out.
knows
with me.
it. She's
She's
like,
fucking. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny that she loved it.
What
just
did you
as much.
think of his gambit?
I thought it was awesome.
He was good.
I think the look was excellent. I love that
It's
they
the
went.
comic come to life.
I was like, I'm so much happier.
By the way, if the movie got made, there's no way he would have looked like that.
Oh, I don't think so either.
But if they're doing it in this, they're like,
Oh, it was great, and I think, his accent was so crazy. But I was thinking afterwards, I'm like, I bet that was a choice, though. I bet that was a choice from Ryan Reynolds and Channing Tatum to be like, just be super over the top. We're gonna make fun of it.
You're go all out. Your comic book gambit. We're not trying to start a franchise here.
Yep. And so then they, I love the speech with X-22 with the fire. X-23 with the fire with Wolverine. That was fucking awesome. It was amazing. Even before that, that we kind of skipped over the van fight. That's to the Grease song.
Well, isn't that after? Oh no, that is before.
X-23
You're right.
brings-
Yeah,
That van fight to the Grease song.
he's so good.
It's already an excellent action thing in the van to have a fight like that between two characters that can't die. That's already amazing. Then to make it funny too and have
With the
that
Grease
song,
thing, yeah.
I was like, just like the beginning, I'm like, this is making such a statement that it's like incredible filmmaking. I go, it's weird because there's like crude humor, blood for blood's sake, violence, and then there's like putting all this stuff together and making something that's actually elevated, and that's what they accomplish with those things.
They're fighting in a Honda Odyssey.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And so they go to have the big fight. I thought it was fucking awesome. They have the bazooka. They blast with the hands. They go in. The whole fight with the cards.
I like that they have to get the helmet onto Cassandra Nova.
I love that. And it's funny, too, because I'm like, did you see the interview with Vinnie Jones?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
To me, I feel like that was bullshit. Like, he had to be asking for too much.
Oh, I think he was. I think that when he says to get in the, it's so much to get in the thing, I think what he means is like the amount of money it would take.
Yeah.
Is not enough. It's funny that, because I was like, why would they recast that Juggernaut and have him back? Especially when in Deadpool 2 they had a really awesome Juggernaut.
Oh, that's true, they did.
I love that Juggernaut. Now I know why.
Ryan Reynolds voiced that one too, I believe.
Yeah, he did. So, question for you. Why did they not make it the Magneto helmet? Is because I guess because you want to get it off a person that's in the fight and it can't be Magneto.
Exactly. Because you can't have Magneto and Wolverine in the same fight.
Yeah, especially, and kill him that easily. Like
Yeah.
Juggernaut, I can swallow even though it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to believe that X-23 would just kill him like that.
Well, Magneto is just so overpowered, especially
Exactly.
in a Wolverine movie.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just
yeah, exactly. So, I loved the whole fight scene. I loved all the Gambit stuff. Everyone was awesome. It was fucking awesome. I loved their plan. I loved going in and getting the way that they got the helmet thrown up in the backpack and did the thing.
Well, I like how they kind of don't actually beat her, and they're like, "Look, we're just gonna fucking let you go. Like, we really don't want a part of your shit. Just let us go, and we'll call it."
The part where, because I was like, how are they going to do this? She's so like, sadistic. The thing where she says she's going to masturbate while in their blood. Actually, I thought it was awesome. I was like, that was amazing. When he says something and she says, Charles really loved you. And he says he loved all of us. And if he knew that you were in here, he would have moved heaven and earth to come and find you too. I was like, that's fucking amazing. I was like, the fact that this kind of stuff is in there. I mean, even the Wolverine freaking out in the car, in the van to Ryan Reynolds when he has that like serious freak out.
When he's like, enough.
Yeah. I'm like, this is, the fact that they're putting this in this movie is like mind boggling and so exciting to me. Loved it. Loved that stuff. Loved them doing the, the fucking, the helmet thing. They get out into the sling ring. They get out into the real world.
By the way, sling rings, they've completely like ruined them.
Yeah, I know.
Like when you watch the first Doctor Strange, it's like, it takes training and patience. No Way Home, the guy like Ned is like, I'm having some trouble getting this thing to work. Now it's like you pick it up and you go in a circle and.
I know. So funny. Who did it? Did she do it?
She did it. Yeah.
Yeah, she did it. All that was awesome. I love the shot of them running in slow motion to
and
jump.
they jump.
And all the cameo characters are looking up at them and like happy that
They're like, yup,
did
you
it.
guys are getting out.
I'm like, this right here is its own movie. They could have made a movie by Marvel called like
Escape from the Void.
like the Avenged. Instead of the Avengers, the Avenged, and it's all the shitty characters that were like, kind of like washed past, people don't like. Like that's what that moment was, and it was incredible. I loved it. They get in, they go out. This is where your other problem is.
This is where I think the movie kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, so they jump into the void.
Yep.
Right? Not into the void. She just opens. She doesn't even say where she's really opening the portal to. Mm-hmm. It's not clear. Right. And they end up on this street set, which is one of like 3 or 4 sets in the movie. Mm-hmm. And they're on this street set, and they're there, and then a nice pool shows up, which is
that was great. Nice Pool was great.
Nice Pool was very funny.
Yeah,
like
Van Milder,
and
he does the proposal thing.
Yeah,
that was great.
He's like, I can mug to the camera too, and he just turns and says the proposal. Great joke, very funny. Then this is my problem with the movie. So like. And my memory of it, you said, is a little off. But I remember they're there, Nice Pool shows up, and he's like, hey, they're all coming to kill you guys. And they're like, what? And then a million Deadpools show up.
I thought that she came through, and she basically said, like, we're going to stop you. And she was like, I've got someone to help me out, or something like that.
I'm pulling up the actual, synopsis now.
Craig, if you want to cut for a minute.
Yeah.
We can look this up, because I do want to figure this out.
All right, give me 1 second. Because I think this is important. to get right.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see. Deadpool, Wolverine. All right. Plot. All right, so hold on. Okay. Arriving on Earth 10,005, Wade and Logan find that Paradox has completed the Time Ripper. Cassandra, having learned of Paradox's plan from Pyro before executing him, arrives
That was great too. No, not everybody gets a speech.
Yes.
That was great.
She arrives through another portal and kidnaps Paradox to reach his machine. She plans to use the Time Ripper to destroy all timelines, leaving only the Void as revenge for Paradox's betrayal. Cassandra summons an army of Deadpool variants who kill Nicepool and battle Wade and Logan. But Wade and Logan, I think, don't know that stuff is happening, which is why I find it weird.
I think, I mean, in my theater, I remember feeling like I knew what she was doing. I knew what she was going to do. And she was basically like, if we use this and we destroy every universe, then I'll be the god.
No, I get that. And I understand her motivation.
Yeah.
But I feel like Wade and Deadpool at that point, they jump through the portal.
Oh, you're saying when she comes in, they're just like, why are you here?
They're like, we're fine, you know. They're celebrating like they got back.
Yeah.
And then she sends Deadpools to kill them.
Yeah.
Which now kind of alerts them to her plan, where it's like she could have just used the machine.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird thing that I think doesn't really hold up.
Yeah.
So that was my big story. That's one of my big story gripes. And we get all the Deadpool variants, like Blake Lively is Lady Pool. That's been revealed.
Yeah.
Did you catch McConaughey?
Yeah, I did. As a cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of different voice actors doing Deadpools.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's funny because it feels like it's almost like this is the type of movie where there wasn't really a big end battle. There was a big end sacrifice for a thing, like with a ticking clock. So they decided to make a big fun one with all the Deadpools.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit tough because
Deadpool can't die.
He can't die, he can't get hurt, all this stuff like that.
And it's cool watching Wolverine and Deadpool cut through everybody.
I thought that was awesome. I mean, I loved the whole stuff with Deadpool and Nicepool. I thought that was awesome.
That was great interaction.
When he was killing him and stuff like that. He's like, I think I can save him, and he looks back and he's dead. I loved the stuff with Dogpool. That was awesome. But that final moment where they were like, one of you is gonna die, I was kind of like, man, which one should it be, like storytelling wise? And when they went in, and Wolverine's like, no, he's like, you have people to go back to, I don't. And he goes in, and then Deadpool tricks him, and he goes in. I was like, that's fucking amazing. I loved it.
I was like, that's great.
And I mean, also obviously this is right when they puts the mask on as well, which is incredible.
Oh, when he puts that fucking Wolverine mask on, I had such a fucking nerd boner. I was like, I've been waiting my whole life to see a live action Wolverine. It looks so damn good.
It looked awesome.
Like, I couldn't believe how it looked better than I thought it would have.
You know what's weird? It's weird how, I mean, of course it's designed this way, so that's probably why. It's weird how good they looked as Deadpool and Wolverine like that. You know what I mean? It looked like they were supposed to be a team, you know? Like, I guess because the eyes are the same and because, like, the textures are so similar, all that kind of stuff, the angularity, whatever. But when Deadpool tricks him and goes in to make the sacrifice, I loved it. And then when Wolverine came, and when he's, like, reaching and he can't reach it, and then Wolverine comes in and they reach it together, I was like, this is amazing.
I was like, oh, are they? I honestly thought they might have killed them both.
I know. I didn't know what they were going to do
because I had heard some reviews that people were crying at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I had heard that going in, so I was like, maybe they fucking just erase them both and, like, you know, that's the end.
Mm-hmm. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. I wish they did a more dramatic reveal that they were alive, as opposed to them just walking in and being like, no, we're fine.
I thought it was pretty cool. And the divorce joke was pretty great, too.
Which one was that?
He's like, he leaves his shirt on now that he went through the divorce.
Because he let himself go through the divorce.
And then, like, he's there and he's just, the abs are popping.
It was crazy. I loved all that stuff. And then, you know.
That's how they beat Cassandra, by holding on to these, like, wires, which I just didn't find it a narratively fulfilling way personally to defeat the villain. But it's almost like that's not what this movie is.
Exactly.
It's a comedy, you know, but
it's different. I agree. It's really different. It's weird. It's a weird thing where the onus is on the characters to do something important.
Yeah.
So I loved that. And then here's two things that I found curious. I'm not saying I don't like them. Well, he's like, we had a good time, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you think I'll see you again? And Wolverine goes, probably not. And he walks away.
Yeah.
Then he just comes back and he's part of the family.
Well, Deadpool's like, hey, come on.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know. What do you think that means? That he wants him to continue doing movies?
I think that's what it is. I think it was a meta thing where it's like, okay, this was a one and done. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool's like, come on.
Yeah. Okay, good. I hope that's what it was. And then
Because I think after this, Marvel is going to back up a fucking Brinks truck
I agree.
to get the two of them in stuff.
I agree. I think, and so the final thing really is he goes like, in the void, like we had this team, like, can you help them get them out? And he says, we'll see what we can do. And then X-23 is at the end, but the rest of them aren't. And I thought that was kind of curious too.
Well, he said put them all back in their universes, I think.
I don't think so.
I thought he said something like that.
I think their universes are supposed to be gone.
Well, I thought that they put them all in places.
Maybe.
That's how I took it. That
Maybe.
the TVA rebuilt all their universes.
Okay, I thought it was just like, can you bring him out of there? Basically. Maybe he did say something like, can you take him out of the void? And maybe we just took it to mean different things. So they have the big ending with the big we're all together again ending. The Peter thing, the Rob Delaney, that guy.
Peter Poole, yeah.
Yeah. And I loved it. I was so satisfied. I have my own little qualms. My qualms are just, I had the same question about you with the time thing.
Yep.
There is another big question of the time thing.
What?
You didn't acknowledge. I don't know if Popcorn Kernel would have missed this.
Oh, what is it?
When does Wolverine die? What year?
In what? In
Logan.
I haven't seen Logan in a while.
It's like 2029.
Oh, really?
It's in the future. It's after this movie. So why is the universe already collapsing and why is he already dead?
Well, it's a different timeline, right?
But his Deadpool's universe is collapsing because Logan is dead. But it's way before he died. Unless it takes place after 2029, which doesn't make any sense.
No, I think it's like, to me, it's like the universe has served its purpose of the anchor being dead. So let's...
But he's not dead yet. And this timeline...
But what I'm saying is, so it's like, time is almost like infinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's not use the X-Men timeline because it's like so convoluted. Let's use Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, right? Because he'd be the anchor being of that universe. Mm-hmm. So let's say that there's a Spider-Man 7 and Tobey Maguire dies at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And the TVA is killing that timeline, right? Because the anchor being is dead. It's deleting the rest from continuity, and it's almost like like all time is happening at once. So even though he's dead, they're like, oh, well, we're going to just delete that whole timeline. And it's almost like it trickles down.
Okay, it trickles down.
That's kind of how I view it.
I can view it as a trickle down. That makes sense. But that was a weird one. The Wolverine ambiguousness thing was a weird one. The universe hopping thing in the beginning to Marvel is a weird one. But I find those all to be really small.
It's so much fun, and like that's not what this movie is.
I agree. I had so much fun. I loved it. Here's my predictions. Extended cut going into theaters.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think we're going to get an extended PG-13 cut so they can get people who didn't get to see it. Because you'll get parents who have like an 8 or 10-year-old.
Yeah.
That they can't take them to this where Deadpool's talking about pegging, but it would be pretty easy to trim this movie and put in some bleeps.
Yeah.
And then you get a second dip at the apple, and they did that with Deadpool too.
Yeah. It's funny because I think that's really smart. I think they might have held some fun moments back for an extended cut, but maybe it will be a PG-13
I mean, they
cut.
did the same thing. It could be an extended PG-13.
It could be. Yeah. That's true, yeah. So I think it is going to go back in theaters eventually. I mean, it's going to stay in theaters for a little bit now.
Oh, it's going to have a big run, I think.
It's going to have a big run.
Every theater in the country is like, thank you.
It's funny because like I haven't bought Blu-rays in a long time. I know you're more of a physical media guy than me.
I love it.
I think my house fire affected the way I look at it because I lost so many at one time. This is going to be one of those movies where I'm like, I do want to see all the bonus footage.
You want to own it.
I really want to know all that stuff. So I'm really excited for that. They've got to come back. I imagine the anchor beings thing was introduced so that they
By the way, happy birthday.
Oh, it's after midnight.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Thank you very much. I'm very disgusted. I do think they did the anchor beings thing to set up Secret Wars so that they can go, this person is the anchor being of this universe.
Yes.
And Tobey Maguire. However, I will say, It's funny because I don't know how much longer we should record because we have so many
Let's
other.
just fucking keep going.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
So I think that bringing in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again in Secret Wars makes sense. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they do another Spider-Man project that has the three of them together. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But in terms of the anchor thing, if we have Deadpool and Wolverine and we already have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I don't know if there's a lot of other big people to bring in. I don't like Edward Norton is this Hulk. That's not one.
No.
Eric Bana is not going to be one. Thomas Jane Punisher, I guess. I don't know if he's big enough for people to think that that's a big deal.
I'll tell you, people, I love that Punisher.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have a fondness for that Punisher, and he loves that character.
I totally get that, but do you think in an Endgame type movie where they're pulling people from other universes, that's going to be a big enough moment?
I don't think it would be a big moment, but I think it would be like something that he's there.
You think Daredevil would be one of them with Ben Affleck?
I don't think Ben would do it, so I think that's why they won't do it.
But I'm like, who are these other anchors going to be if they really do go down this road? It's just Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man.
I mean,
Well, you could build it from the MCU. You know, like
well, I was going to say,
who's the anchor being of the MCU?
It's got to be Tony.
That's what you would think, right?
It's got to be Tony, or
Didn't you say Happy Hogan?
I think no, not as the anchor being. I think, and we'll talk about it. The San Diego Comic-Con news,
Yeah.
where Robert Downey Jr. is now going to be Dr. Doom. I think when he comes back, the first thing he should do to show what he is to kill Happy Hogan.
That'd be just so fucking brutal.
I think it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect to make Doom the next big bad, But anyways, the anchor being thing, I just don't know who else they would bring. If they already have Deadpool and Wolverine and they've already had Maguire and Garfield, I mean, those will be big moments to bring in them again. But besides that, it's like, all I can think of is Affleck Daredevil. I mean,
Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider.
Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. Is that a big moment though? I don't know. I
think people would. I think if you you make it look fucking sick when he turns into the Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like, I guess the gravitas of Jackman and Tobey Maguire there's everything pales in comparison to that.
Well, you've heard what the original supposed leaked plan was, right, for the Kang movies.
What was it?
So there was going to be an Avengers group, which is going to fail to stop Kang.
Yes, this is the newer people they've put together.
So it was
Kate Bishop.
Yeah,
and
all
Falcon,
those people. They were going to fail.
Shang-Chi.
And then there was going to be a team made up of what I would consider the anchor beings, which is
exactly
the classic Avengers, Tobey Maguire, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and the characters people really give a shit about are going to swoop in and save the day.
But the thing is, now I
don't think they're going to do that.
I think it'd be awesome. I think that's what anchor being seems like it's setting up. But I also feel like I just don't know who can fill those shoes. I think that what you could do, that I just realized now as we're talking, Wolverine can be the anchor being of his universe, and Charles Xavier, Professor X, could be the anchor being of a different universe.
Well, I think you better film that movie soon, then, because not to be a dick, but Patrick Stewart is quite old. It's a good thing his character's in a wheelchair. We'll say that.
He's also on a ventilator in this one. They CG out his CPAP machine. So
we don't show his face. It's just a bald head.
So I think that, I do think that's where they're going. I think that's the only reason that makes sense you'd set up an anchor thing, because it's so limited. Otherwise, what else can you do with that as a storyline? You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you're going to be there's a cap in this universe. And, hold on, I just had an idea. What if that's how you recast all the classic roles with new actors? So you go, we need a Captain America. And you go and you get, I don't know who it would be. Whatever young person is the
Alan
new...
Richardson.
Yeah, he's the new Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
You get a new Tony, and you essentially reboot them using these new anchor beings. And at the end of this event, whatever it is, you bring those characters together, and you have a new MCU. Which I do think is where we're heading based on the comics.
Yeah, after Secret Wars.
So, did you read the last Secret Wars comic that happened?
I read a bunch of it because I was really into Marvel Zombies and Old Man Logan and the narrative parts of it. But I do think it's going to... And I remember the issue where all the heroes are kind of like their brains are like splitting and they're remembering all the stuff from the different universes. They're becoming one.
Yeah.
I do think that they're essentially going to do something like that. But
I do too.
I thought that was going to be kind of like the way to combine the old movies with the new movies. But it is a thing where it's like, well, everyone's getting so old though, so it's like really hard to like. It's not like you're going to have that.
I think they're going to use it, and I think it's a very smart thing to do. Well, let's talk about what they announced, and then we'll dive into our speculation. So at San Diego Comic-Con, they brought the DeRusso brothers out on stage, and they're like, we're giving them $40 million each, $80 million each for...
No, $20 million each.
It was $20 million each?
They're each of the writers. I mean, so they're getting a total of $40 million, the directors.
Okay. I thought they were getting $40 million each. I thought it was $80 million.
Robert Downey Jr. is getting $80 million.
Okay.
Which is $40 million each movie. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And they basically are directing the next two Avengers movies, which are Doomsday and Secret Wars. And at the panel, they're like, we needed a great actor to pull off Doctor Doom, and we wanted to get the greatest actor on the planet. And they have all these Dooms show up.
I thought it was
It's
fucking
fucking
awesome.
a great reveal.
I thought it was awesome.
And then they have Robert Downey Jr. pop off the helmet, and he does his pose. And you have the whole H went fucking apeshit. The internet was immediately positive, but I don't know if you saw after, they quickly soured.
I think they're pussies.
And I think it's like, I can understand the argument if you're like, this is going to undermine Endgame, right? But there's so many variables here that you have to consider. Number one, they have never said he's Tony Stark. They have said he's Victor Von Doom.
They did say that, yeah.
They specifically said he's Victor Von Doom. Now, that could mean a million different things. It could be an alias from another universe, whatever. It's not going to change the fact that Tony was dead in Endgame.
Well, think about this. Because I think Wolverine and Deadpool pulled this off as well.
They did.
I think that the idea of killing him in 2019 and then having him legitimately be gone for 7 years and however many movies and to come back. And by the way, we're judging a thing where we don't know how he's coming back yet. It's like already being like we're taking him off the chessboard for 7 years. That's impactful.
It's
huge. They're not killing him and then they turn around and make him come back. And also, they're not just going like, Doctor Strange figured out a way to bring him back and he's back. And he's just Iron Man again. That would be weak. And that would undermine it and that would make it mean nothing. If they tell a grand story,
like so they had that in the Thor movie. Remember the part where it was like Thor can wish for anything?
Yeah.
He could have been like, I wish for all my friends to come back.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you could have done a million fucking things.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean? Like, if there is a real big story that makes sense for it and that comes after 7 years of him being gone and he becomes a villain, I think it's amazing.
And we don't know what universe he's coming from. We don't know what it is. And going just based alone on the way they handled Infinity War and Endgame, Infinity War is a movie about Thanos. Like, he's the protagonist of the movie.
Yeah.
So we have to assume, and we don't know how they're going to build up to him, what breadcrumbs. We know we're getting a Fantastic Four movie first. And we know that the movie is called Doomsday. So we have to assume that Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom is the main character in that movie. And, you know, what they build to, and there's been other stuff that I think is going to pay off.
Yeah.
And taking some knowledge from the comics. Because, like, if you read the Infinity Saga, you kind of had an idea where Infinity War would go, even going into the movie, but it was like, did I think they were going to snap all the characters away that they did? Like, never in a million years did I think they would remove Tom Holland like they did.
No, me neither. I think that Fantastic Four has been announced to be in the 60s.
Yes.
It's
another universe, they said, too.
It's a retro futurist universe. And I just read this whole thing about it where they said they're going to base it's going to be like way futuristic from the actual 60s that we've experienced.
Okay.
But based on the predictions of people at the time.
That's cool. So it's going to be like Jack Kirby shit.
It's fucking awesome. I think what's going to happen, because the Fantastic Four is going to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars, like you said, and that's going to come 60 years later. So obviously we know there's some sort of time jump for them.
Well, I think that they did say they're in the 60s in a parallel Earth.
They did.
So it's not necessarily a time jump for them because it's,
Right.
you know, it's instantaneous when they jump through their portal.
Sure. But I think there's going to be a version of Robert Downey Jr.'s character is in that world. I would have to think he's going to be Tony Stark or a version of Tony Stark. Maybe Alias, maybe whatever.
Something goes wrong.
Maybe his best friend is Victor Von Doom and he dies and he takes on his whatever.
Yeah.
It could be anything. And I think that he's going to come through with them to, you know, the MCU that we know. And I think, because some people are like, this is so stupid. Like, all the MCU characters are going to be like, we don't recognize this guy, even though he looks just like Iron Man.
First of all, he's in a giant fucking mask if he's like Doctor Doom.
I don't think they're going to hide his face, though. I just don't think they're going to pay him $80 million and hide his face. I think it's going to be like Iron Man. I think it's going to be on and off. I know that Doctor Doom traditionally would just have his mask on all the time. I just don't think they're going to do
Your
it.
way makes way more sense when you think about, like, modern movies and stuff and paying Robert Downey Jr. $80 million.
Yeah.
But we honestly don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
But I think
I think it would be really fucking cool.
I think they're not going to make this character a new character. It's Robert Downey Jr. playing a different character, and no one even says anything about it.
Well, do they try to make it a big reveal when he takes his mask off? Do you do that, or is that too lazy?
I think it depends on how they build it. If it's a thing where they're building it in the 60s and he's friends with Reed Richards and he's working on stuff with him, and
well, he's not going to be in that one, is he?
I don't know. I mean, the original origin of Doctor Doom, he would be.
Yeah.
That's why I wonder. But I think he is going to be a version of Tony Stark. I think that the people here are going to be deeply affected by that, and it's going to be really tough for them to understand their feelings towards fighting and killing this person. And so you have to make the Doctor Doom character like terrible, which is why I love the idea of him killing Happy Hogan.
So can I tell you what I think this is going to be?
Ooh, what if he kills Happy Hogan and then he takes Pepper Potts? He cuts off her fucking head, puts it on a stake in front of the Stark Tower. No.
And he gets his daughter and he throws her off. I hate you 5,000 or 3,000.
I hate you 5,000. That's funny.
But
why does he hate her? Yeah. No reason at all.
He's Victor Von Doom. He's just filled with so much hate. But so this is how I personally think the story will go. And I also base this on an image Robert Downey Jr. posted of him holding the Doom mask. And it says something like, new mask. Same task. Okay. So.
Eric Voss has a whole thing about this.
Okay.
I love you, Eric.
All right, listen. That's our rival. We are at war. All right.
I hate you 5,000. Yeah. I don't know why it's 5,000.
Yeah. That's how the hate is even more than the love. All right. But so new mask, same task. So like looking at the best of Tony, right? Mm-hmm. He's a futurist who wants to save humanity and save the world and do all this stuff, right? And he comes at it from a positive angle. Mm-hmm. Dr. Doom, in many stories, and in particular Secret Wars, he's a villain, but he does also actually save the entire universe. You know? So I think the story, and they've already mentioned incursions before within the Marvel movies. So I think they're going to do something with that story. Or Doomsday, whatever it is going to be the story of Doctor Doom saving the universe, right? And he's going to do it through evil means and be a bad guy. Yeah. And it's like, don't do it like this, whatever heinous thing he has to do. Mm-hmm. And he's going to fucking save the universe and become God at the end. And Secret Wars, I think, is going to be about a group of heroes stopping him. And I don't know what heroes that is going to be. I'm willing to bet one of them will be Miles Morales like in the comic, because it will be an easy way to bring him in. Okay. And I also think they'll use that at the end to reboot the entire MCU and recast everybody and start fresh with all the characters in one place. That's my personal prediction.
I mean, there's so much that we don't know that it's kind of hard to guess. Yeah. I think that I would imagine It's really weird because in my head, it's like I have a real warring thing about like, would they have him in Fantastic Four or would they not? Because do you want to introduce this character 100% in a movie called Doomsday and do everything that he has to do in that one movie?
Well, that's kind of what they did with Thanos.
They pretty much did, but they teased him for years before that.
Well, but they could tease Doom like that too.
They could a little bit.
Show the helmet, hear stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he probably is going to be the one setting up Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars, it always seemed like to me it made more sense to use it to bring all the universes together. But I don't really know how that would be impactful because all these characters are so old and all these people are so old that they're not going to start playing characters.
Well, I think that's what they'll do, and it'll be one last ride for this era of comic book movies. So by the time it comes out, was that like 2026? 27. So I think that would be the end of 27 years of Marvel comic storytelling.
Wow.
And that's my belief. And they'll use that to close this chapter. And it's a nice bookend to 27 years. And because of the events of this movie, they start completely fresh.
Maybe.
With the X-Men there. And you know what I mean? And you could keep Miles or you could keep Peter. And, I'm sure they'll work something out.
They're going to keep the Fantastic Four for sure.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is you can... Once you do that big blow up, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have to renegotiate with Sony for Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
But they could either work it out or they could say, Spider-Man had to go over there and, in order to get the universe, whatever bullshit they come up with.
Yeah. I will say just overall, I think bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to be Doctor Doom is like genius.
I love it.
I think it's amazing. I think it's an incredible
move. He's my favorite actor.
He is incredible. And the idea of taking this ultimate guy, and now we've had several years of people kind of like living in his shadow and thinking about him and seeing him everywhere.
Main thing of the Spider-Man, like the last 2 Spider-Man movies.
All that stuff it's so insane to now bring him back. Maybe he kills Tom Holland. That would be fucking...
I think if any character, if you're going to do the moment, like, and you really want it to matter, like that reveal.
Yeah.
Or like he uses it to trick Tom Holland somehow.
I mean, you can't kill Tom Holland. You need Spider-Man. You need Spider-Man on that playing board.
I mean, there are 3 Spider-Men.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
And they do want to bring in Miles.
That's true.
And Tom Holland has said before he wants to pass the torch.
That's crazy. See, so there's a lot. So
it's really a big world of possibilities. I personally do not want Tom Holland to go.
Me neither. I know. I will say this. I'm psyched about the idea of the Fantastic Four movie being in a retro-futurist 60s. I think that's fucking really cool.
I'm way more excited for it. I have one problem with the casting of that movie.
I know. I love everybody that's casted.
I like Pedro Pascal as an actor.
Yeah.
I don't like him for Reed Richards.
How do you like the other 2 guys? Because we'll get to Invisible Girl.
Johnny I liked, and I thought the guy playing the Thing, I thought that's a good choice. I'm not familiar with his work, I don't think.
He's the one from The Bear?
Yeah, I never watched it.
I know.
I think he's in one other thing I liked, but...
Iron Claw.
I didn't see Iron Claw. He's in something else I saw that I liked.
I like him, and I like the other guy, Eddie Munson. And he was in
he's a Stranger Things kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I liked him a lot in that. He's also in Quiet Place Day 1. He's like the second lead.
Okay, I didn't see it.
But
who's the Invisible Woman?
She's the only thing I know her from is as Hobbs and Shaw. She's Jason Statham's sister.
What's her name?
I don't remember her name.
I know her. I know the actress.
Yeah, she seems good. I think she seems definitely good. I love the idea of a movie taking place in that time. I don't know. I'm way more excited for this than I was about Kang Dynasty and all that stuff. I think the Fantastic Four / Doomsday / Secret Wars, it all just seems way more interesting to me.
So when the Jonathan Majors stuff was happening, I told someone, I was like, this is how I would handle it. Because they had the big council of Kangs.
I want him to bring Denzel in and be like, this is an old Kang and he's the top Kang.
So this is how I would have handled it. I would have showed all the Kangs, right? Mm-hmm. And I would have had like a grenade come in, like roll into the room, blow up and kill all the Kangs. Yeah. And I would have a new actor, whoever it is, it doesn't matter.
Denzel.
Well, Denzel, fine. He walks out and he's like, I got rid of all those like imposter Kangs and I got my new council of Kangs. And just like...
That's hilarious.
Just like I got different variants that are better. Like fuck those. They're weak.
I like the idea of older ones. I mean, plus like Denzel, he's going to be going back to Training Day if he's a bad guy, which is fucking killer. I think they just look similar enough to believe that he's an older version
Totally,
of Jonathan
like,
Majors.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I think Thunderbolts is, I'm going to see what it is. I really loved. I thought like Falcon and Winter Soldier was okay, but U.S. Agent. I mean, I don't know if he was called U.S. Agent in the show, but the guy,
I don't remember what they were calling him. Maybe
it was just
they
Captain
did.
America.
Yeah, maybe they did call him U.S. Agent, and I don't
At the
remember.
end or something. That guy was awesome. I thought he was awesome.
Wyatt Russell, he rules.
I thought he was great in that. I mean, I like Florence Pugh.
I liked Black Widow, and I know I'm in the minority, and
Yeah.
I have some qualms with that movie, but like it's an homage to like Bond movies, and that's like in my wheelhouse, so I loved it.
The only thing I find weird about Thunderbolts is the fact that like Wyatt Russell is clearly a bad guy, and like some of them are clearly bad guys.
Is he a bad? Like he's kind of more an anti-hero than a bad guy.
No, he's just bad. He's not good. In what way is he good?
Wyatt Russell? Well, what did he do that was actually bad other
He just
than
like killed people for no reason and had like a rage issue?
I mean, he's more an anti-hero. It's not like he killed good people. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
crossed the line. He's more like a Punisher than I would say a villain.
He seemed like a dickhead.
Oh, he's not a good guy. Like
I know, but Punisher seems like a good guy who does things. To me, like Punisher and Wolverine are the same, but Wyatt Russell seems like a shitty guy that you shouldn't give any power to. But what I was gonna say is like Florence Pugh and Bucky, they just don't seem to fit in that. It seems like they're just good guys. Like
Florence Pugh, yeah.
like Bucky was brainwashed and he was bad for a little bit, but then besides that, just 100% good.
Well, unless you have them as the two leaders, and maybe they butt heads. You know, I don't know.
I know. I think that's a little bit hard for me to see. They're figuring it out. They've confirmed that Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which is a crazy person to be involved.
I know.
They confirmed that she bought Avengers Tower recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what?
I don't know. I saw it today on Twitter.
I must have missed it.
I don't know what it's from. I don't know where they said it or whatever, but that. And then, so it's Fantastic Four.
Well,
Dr. Doom,
Cap 4 is the next one.
right? And that, like, I
Did you
hope-
hear that, what's his face, Anthony Mackie fucked up?
No.
He leaked a big reveal, potentially.
What?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
All right. He was doing an interview, and he said, like, we have Green Hulk in our movie, kind of. Like, he let it slip by accident.
Really?
Yeah, it's something to that effect. I'm butchering it.
I will say, I kind of expected that if Red Hulk shows up, then Green Hulk will show
Well,
up.
first of all, this Captain America has absolutely no powers.
Yeah.
So how can he, like, stand toe-to-toe with the Red Hulk? It just doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
you know?
I think so too. So I mean, the trailers are a little bit underwhelming for it.
I don't think it looks very good.
I think it looks like I can't tell what it is. It's really tough because from trailers like Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier, the movie, Captain America Winter Soldier, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, the TV show, they seem really similar, but then the actual content is so different that I think we're living in the same space. It's like this movie and Secret Wars kind of feel similar, and I don't expect it to be as boring and meandering as Secret Wars, obviously.
Wait, Secret Wars.
Secret Invasion. Sorry.
Oh, okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
Secret Invasion, not Secret Wars.
Yeah.
It's just like the tone is the same. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
And I just feel like we got to wait and see. Kind of. I think it's cool that Harrison Ford is going to be Thaddeus Ross and then he's going to be
I
Red
love
Hulk.
Harrison Ford.
I think
so-
that's a cool person to have on the team. In team meaning like the cast.
Well, what if he's not the Red Hulk and it's a curveball because everyone expects him to?
And they've already kind of revealed it.
They did say it?
Well,
Okay.
because they had a thing with him with all his clothes ripped. And there's a thing where I forgot who said it, but it was like someone at Marvel, like it might have been Feige or someone. They're like, the first transformation happens at a press conference, not the best place to happen, or something like that. And I think what happens is it happens like against his will in public, and he becomes
Okay.
Red Hulk. But
I know Giancarlo Esposito is playing Sidewinder.
yeah, that's cool. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's
fucking
fine.
awesome. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and it's just funny because all that stuff we just talked about with Marvel, with Fantastic Four, Doom, and all that stuff, like somehow Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be involved in this stuff.
Oh, they're going to have to be pulled in.
I don't know how. I don't know if they're going to. It's just going to be interesting. I want to see how they balance Deadpool.
I
with,
would
like, a real story.
love if we got like a team of like Tobey Maguire, like Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Like I don't think Chris Evans will come back.
Really?
I don't think he'll come back for Cap. he seems way more down on it than like even Robert Downey Jr. is.
Really?
Like Robert Downey Jr. never like down talked like doing the Marvel stuff and like
Yeah.
almost seemed like he never regretted it.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I just get a vibe from Chris Evans where he's like, you know,
I never got that.
like anytime he's asked about it, like they asked him about the Johnny Storm thing, and he's like, Ryan Reynolds is the only person I would have done like a Marvel thing for.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, they all came out at Hall H.
Yeah, I know.
Which I thought was really weird. Friday morning, the day it comes out,
I know.
they did a Deadpool Wolverine panel, and all the cameos came out on stage.
Well, didn't they screen the movie and then bring everybody out?
I thought they screened it after.
Oh, okay.
But maybe you might be right. I might have not known.
No, I think they came out, Hugh and Ryan, they introduced the movie. Then they had everybody come out after the movie.
That makes more sense for sure.
And then they did the drone thing. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
you spoiled it for fucking everybody. It's
I would
insane.
think so. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe they did that. I thought that was very strange. I don't know. But yeah, all that stuff swirling around is so interesting.
For the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the prospects of the MCU and the direction.
Yeah, me too.
And we're supposed to get another Spider-Man movie before 2027, I think, right?
Yeah, and I was never like, oh, I think everything sucks and I'm completely done. Like, you know, like I said, over the past like however many years between Endgame and now, which is 5 years, I guess. It's not like there was enough where I'm just like they don't have anything for me, because No Way Home is so good. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was so good. Like, I thought WandaVision was for the most part really good.
I loved WandaVision.
I thought that was awesome. And like, you know, even certain things like that aren't necessary for me, I kind of appreciate, like the Marvel What If series. I didn't really watch that much of it.
I watched the first season. The second season, there was an episode where I was just like, yeah, I'm out on this.
I watched
It's not for
Happy
me.
Saves Christmas. I thought
That was awesome.
I thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
So I was still like in and out, just kind of like I pretty much watch everything. I don't watch all the TV shows. Even with Loki, like I didn't fall in love with Loki the show, but I really appreciated the idea and the aesthetic of
So
it.
what I will say is this, because I did not like Loki season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2, I actually feel is much better.
Yeah.
And by the end of the show, like it had like Loki, I started to like season 1, and then as it went on, I hated it. Loki season 2 is almost like the reverse, where like I didn't like anything and I didn't understand anything what was happening. And then by the last episode, I was like, oh, I actually do like this, and it makes sense and it works.
I want to watch
I would recommend Loki season 2.
Yeah, I want to watch
Did you watch
it.
Moon Knight?
No, not yet.
Fucking awful.
I liked Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night was awesome. I wish they would do more things like that, just one-off
They're gonna do
stories.
Man Thing. They're gonna do a Man Thing Halloween special, I think, this year.
This year?
I thought so, yeah.
Okay, I'm down for that.
I thought so, but they definitely said they were gonna do it, and I liked the idea of doing the Agatha show. I think that's fun.
Well, that comes out this year.
September.
Yeah.
So like, I never was like completely out, but I was like, I didn't know what was really going to be there for me in a couple
Well,
years.
I got to a point where I was like, some projects I'll check out, and some I'm just gonna be like, there's no way I'm paying to see this, and like that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just know I'm not gonna like this. Like
Yeah.
they stopped making the movies that really resonate with me, and even the movies that I am into, they just found a way to fuck them up. Like Shang-Chi was a movie that I think I saw it twice, because I think I saw it and you had it, and then you wanted to see it, and I think I saw it with you.
Yeah, maybe.
If I remember. But I really love the first 2 acts of that movie. And then we get to this third act, and it's like, why are we spending time in this like fictional, mystical land? It's like so out of connect with the rest of the movie, and the third act is just so unsatisfying, and like
I agree.
it just goes off the rails. And like a couple of the movies, I've really liked that, and they shit the bed in the third act. And a big thing that started happening, which I didn't like, is they wouldn't let their heroes almost be heroic and have big moments of victory.
Yeah, I know. You always say that.
And we've had this discussion before. I don't want to get into a whole thing right now, but you know, to me, that was a thing which really, all the best Phase 4 and 5 movies have kind of big moments of victory,
Yeah.
whether they're moral or something
Right.
else by the heroes. Like No Way Home has the moment where Tobey Maguire's beating the shit out of the Green Goblin. He's won the fight, and he's getting ready to kill him, and then he makes the moral choice to cure him.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, he had his victory, and it works.
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine, again, like, they don't really get their big, like, beat the villain moment, but
they get the big sacrifice
They get
moment.
the big sacrifice moment, so it works.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I agree. The last thing I really wanted to make a point to say that I just remembered. There's been like talk about like the multiverse is overdone and all this stuff, and I kind of disagree because I think that Marvel's real forays into the multiverse, like actually leaning into it as like a main thing, it's Spider-Man No Way Home, Loki, and people seem to, a lot of people like season 1. I think more people like season 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the stuff that fucked up the multiverse was The Flash.
Yeah.
Like really bad. And I think...
Well, that's it done in the worst way, right? Where
I
it's
think so
like,
too.
Look.
I think that. And I also think that people just made predictions that have never happened. They're like, the multiverse is bad. And it's like, how come? It's like, because if someone dies, you just go get a different one of them. I go, okay, when have they done that? It's like, oh, no, they never did. You're just saying stuff that could happen.
I mean, they kind of just did with Wolverine, but
well, they kind of did with Wolverine, but again, that was still like they gave a reason for it and they made it make sense.
Yeah,
and it was in the context of a comedy. It's a lot of different things that you can qualify. It's not like we watched Logan and we said there's no stakes to this because there's a multiverse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what people are talking about. And I think that in actuality, if you actually examine the multiverse thing, I don't think it has been poorly done by the MCU. I think Multiverse of Madness didn't deliver on it enough.
I think that was like an overhyped thing that didn't deliver the people's crazy expectations because people wanted it to be the Flash.
Well, that's the thing is, so like I think that it's like, okay, so that one didn't work because they didn't rely on the multiverse. That's not because they did, it's because they didn't. It's weird because time travel is just as shitty of a storytelling device as the multiverse, because technically it's like, well, nothing bad can happen because you can always go back in time 5 minutes. I'm like, well, watch Back to the Future and tell me you don't feel any stakes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's all about how you build it, and like you just gotta, like, everybody, myself included, you gotta remember this is all fake. It's all fictional. Try to have fun. Like, it's fun to be a nerd and analyze it, but you can't take it so seriously. It's like look, maybe sometimes you'll agree with a story decision, maybe sometimes you won't. Just try to roll with it, you know? And like,
I agree.
Like, as long as it's being respectful to the story they're trying to tell and the characters, you just gotta...
Yeah, I think so.
You gotta roll with it.
No, I'm excited for the future. I think Deadpool Wolverine really...
I'm excited for the first time in a really long time.
It's fucking awesome. And I that was killer. And I was like, man, San Diego Comic-Con's same weekend. I wonder what they could do. And then I was like, you know what? They can't do anything because they don't want to spoil anything for the movie. Because at first I was like, maybe this will be Avengers versus X-Men. Maybe this will be this. I was like, no, they're not going to want to spoil anything, so I guess there's not going to be anything too crazy. And then they pulled this Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr. thing, and I was like, fuck yeah,
awesome.
dude.
And doesn't it feel like he's like, I went and got my Oscar, now I'm back?
Oh,
like,
for sure. For sure.
He's like, oh, I got my real legitimacy.
Oh, for sure.
And now I'll make fucking money and do this.
He did an interview recently where he said, like, you know, he's like, Marvel is what built me, and I'm always going to be, like, there's always gonna be a
never
place for
bet
that.
against Kevin Feige. I saw that.
Yeah. So, I'm psyched, man.
I hope they get Chris Evans back, too. I do.
I know. I mean, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they decide to do.
The possibilities are endless. All right, let me ask you a question. Will he play a good Tony Stark at some point?
Oh, I don't know. I think there might be, like, a redemption moment, but I don't know. I think it'd be... I don't know. I really don't know. I think it might be like just thinking of it right now. It might be better if he's just a bad guy through and through.
Yeah.
For the next turn, but
because you could do the thing where it's like there's only one person that could stop him.
Yeah.
And you get
and you go dream walk time.
Yeah.
And he comes up out of the grave.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking crazy. When they did the Dreamwalker thing in Doctor Strange 2, I'm like, if they did a thing with Robert Englund at some point with this, that'd be fucking amazing. But yeah, man, I'm glad we sat down and did this.
This was fun.
Yeah, Popcorn Kernels episode 2.
Is official, I guess?
I think it's too funny. It's too silly.
Right.
It's like, it's clever and stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what's tough. Like, Concession Stands is clever and stupid, but it's not stupid enough. Popcorn Kernels is more fun, is more whimsical.
Yeah.
I think. And also I love the idea of I'm just thinking of artwork,
Yeah.
and so I want it's a square. I want it to be like the red and white, like for the popcorn bucket, and then popcorn, and then me and you in military uniforms. Look at this, right? And with the big aviators, but it's the red and white.
That's
like
fun.
The 3D glasses,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's really funny. I think that's really
I like
funny.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, so you got to subscribe to Funbearable and the Reviewing History feed.
You never know what's going to come up. We just did like 3 hours on this, and now we're going to do Long Legs and Trap, right?
Yeah. I was like, should we do those movies? And I'm like, we're going to go for so long. We're going to go for so
Originally, it was in the back of my head, too.
I know, of course.
Yeah.
But next time we do it, it'll be on the Reviewing History feed, and then the time after that, it'll be back on Funbearable. So
And we'll rotate.
Yeah, we'll rotate. So that'd be fun. It will create some community between the shows. And I say anyway, like, check out all the world of shows, all the Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff that we're involved in
Definitely.
as well. Obviously, if you haven't, there are some people out there who, they're Funbearable listeners, and I'm just like, oh, you Tell 'em Steve Dave, and they're like, yeah, I don't really know what that is, and I'm like, what?
I think I've had like one
Yeah.
listener who's like not a Tell 'em Steve Dave fan. It's like, where are you from? Like, I want to like talk to you. I want to meet you.
So the big, we're hopefully going to get involved in the big, a big sponsorship situation with Funbearable soon, and it's from Tuesdays with Stories. It's from a guy that heard me on Tuesdays with Stories, started listening to Funbearable, and became a huge Funbearable fan, and he's part of this big company. So
It's awesome.
It's so funny, but yeah. So community is the way to go. Subscribe to all the shows. Check them out. I love all the crossover stuff.
A rising tide raises all boats, right?
That's how I feel too, buddy. So we have to come up with a
Ready?
line.
Ready? Hold on. What do they say in the military when the people are I know we could start every episode attention. But what do they say dismissed?
That's funny.
Yeah,
dismissed, and then watch you do that. Ready?
Dismissed.
Oh, I messed it up.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good.
I
right?
like
That's
that.
good popcorn. All right, Popcorn Kernels, episode 2. Let's do it.